Good afternoon. My name is Raheem Shepard. I am the Vice Chair of the BPDA Board. Chair Rojas is unavailable today and will not be attending the meeting. Thank you for joining the October 16th, 2025 Economic Development and Industrial Corporation of Boston Board meeting. At this time, the Boston Planning and Development Agency is hosting public meetings in a hybrid setting for the health, safety, and accessibility of Boston residents. Hybrid means that our board meetings are conducted in person at City Hall, in our boardroom on the 9th floor, virtually via Zoom, and Boston City TV. For more information and updates, visit bostonplans.org. The Open Public Meeting Law requires that I notify the public that this meeting is being recorded. Please be aware that an audio and visual recording of this meeting is being made and broadcast by the Boston City TV, which is part of the City of Boston Office of Cable Communication at Xfinity Channel 26, RCN Channel 13, and Verizon Fios Channel 962, and live stream at boston.gov/cable. If anyone in the audience here is recording, please identify yourself. With that, we will do a roll call of officers. Ms. Bennett.
Present.
Dr. Lansmark.
Present.
Mr. O'Malley.
Here.
And Chair is present. Thank you. Our first item, item number 1, request authorization for the approval of the minutes of September 18th, 2025 board meeting. Board members, are there any questions or any changes? Seeing and hearing none, a motion is in order.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion approved. The next 3 items on our agenda today will be I will read them all out, 2, 3, and 4. And after that, we will have Dennis come up and speak on part of those. And then after that, we will cast a vote for each item on the docket. Item number 2, request authorization to amend the lease with Droplet Inc. for the continued use of 12 Channel Street, number 601 and number 602, in the Raymond L. Flynn Marina Park until October 31st, 2028. Item number 3, request authorization to amend the lease with Boston Print Specialists, DBA Alpha Graphics, Boston, for continued use of 12 Channel Street, suite number 804, in the Raymond L. Flynn Marina Park until October 31st, 2035, with 2 5-year extension terms. Item number 4, request authorization to amend the lease with Gemma Group, Inc., DBA Peatstock, for the continued use of 12 Channel Street, suite number 104, in the Raymond L. Flynn Marina Park until October 31st, 2033, with 1 5-year extension term option. Dennis, please.
Thank you, Vice Chair Shepard. Thank you all for allowing the consolidation of these 3 votes. They all tell the same good story. In previous meetings during the past year, I had commented on the upcoming vacancies at 12 Channel Street and the efforts that we're taking to both market the property, to attract new tenants, and to incentivize existing tenants to extend their existing lease terms. The general business model for tenant retention strategy is to decrease the rent in the short term to reflect the current market conditions in exchange for adding additional years at the end of the term of the existing lease. You'll see from the PowerPoint that we are requesting permission to amend 3 leases. Droplet Inc. on the 6th floor, Boston Print Specialists, or Alpha Graphics, as I know them, on the 8th floor, and Gemma Group or Pete's Dockside on the 1st floor. When negotiating lease extensions, we considered the current market realities, potential loss of cash flow should the tenant elect to leave at the end of their lease if we did not extend it, and the likelihood of paying real estate commissions and possibly tenant improvement dollars for new tenants. In that context, the reduced rents in the short term they more than justify the additional years added to the leases. In this case, Droplet, we're adding 1 year to allow them to restructure cash flow to satisfy the debt, some current debt with us. Boston Print Specialists is celebrating the extension of their franchise agreement with Alpha Graphics, and they are looking to extend their lease for 8 additional years. And Pete's Dockside on the first floor is suffering some cash flow problems right now, but primarily because of all the construction going on at the building. There's a lot of construction going on, which isn't helping. But once that's over, we expect the business is going to pick up as it was before. If approved today, the guaranteed total revenue for those subject sites will increase between 7% and 19% over the terms of the leases, also giving us a steady, predictable cash flow for our friends in the finance department as they're doing the annual budgets. These 3 proposed leases are mutually beneficial to both tenants and EDIC. Just to recap real quickly, since January 2024, we've extended terms with 6 tenants in 12 Channel Street. We've brought on and welcomed 2 new tenants. This is all since January 24. And if I can be presumptuous, if today's approval, we will have locked down 65% of the leasable space in 12 Channel Street for the next several years. There's currently 5 suites remaining available. They vary in size and condition. 1 suite we will be converting to a storage area. We'll be installing more literally chain link cages. Some of our tenants having problems with their product and they need a place to store it. So that'll be one way to help the operations of the building as well. The remaining suites, we will continue to market via traditional methods, and I look forward to returning to future board meetings with more good news.
Thank you very much, Dennis. Does the board have any questions?
Just briefly, Dennis, why in Pete's Dockside does the 2031 rent go up so much higher? You know, the others seem to be 26 to 29, 14 to 26 over 10 years, and that's almost triples over 6 years.
That was because the $15 reduction was a big drop. So we're lowering the rent in the short term, and
Yeah.
the $42 is above what they would have been had we not lowered it now. It was just a negotiation.
No, it's fine. Listen, the
Let's
more
do it.
we can generate it, the better. I was just curious.
Yeah.
Okay, so
No,
is it
that-
higher because also it's the square footage is smaller?
That's for the Pete's Dockside Restaurant on the first floor of 12 Channel Street.
Okay, thank you.
And they're all, I mean, there's cookie cutters, we can make them, but every deal's different. So you gotta negotiate it, roll up your sleeves and make the numbers work.
Okay.
Are there any additional questions from the board? Seeing and hearing none, I will read each item individually and we will vote upon each item. Thank you. Item number 2, request authorization to amend the lease with Droplet Inc. for the continued use of 12 Channel Street, number 601 and number 602, and the Raymond L. Flynn Marine Park until October 31st, 2028. Motion's in order.
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion's approved. Item number 3, request authorization to amend the lease with Boston Print Specialists, DBA, Alpha Graphics, Boston, for the continued use of 12 Channel Street Suite, number 804, in the Raymond L. Flynn Marine Park until October 31st, 2035, with 2 5-year extension terms options. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. And
Thank you.
I,
That's just
one more.
Sorry.
Item number 4, request authorization to amend the lease with Gemma Group, Inc., DBA, Pete's Dock, for the continued use of 12 Channel Street Suite, number 104, in the Raymond L. Flynn Marine Park until October 31st, 2033, with 1 5-year extension term option.
So moved.
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item number 5, request authorization to execute a memorandum of understanding with the Boston Police Department to establish respective responsibilities for the mutual sharing of video camera data on the EDIC-owned properties. Lauren?
Thank you, Vice Chair, members of the board. My name is Lauren Fernstein. I'm the Deputy Director of Operations and Administration for the Real Estate Department, and I'm here before you today to work on security. It's my favorite topic. The BPDA currently operates a small localized security video management system at select sites within the Raymond L. Flynn Marine Park. We're actively expanding the footprint of this camera and access control system in order to improve situational awareness, support incident response, and enhance public safety across our properties. To improve reliability and coordination, the BPDA system will integrate with the City of Boston's federated system, which is managed by DoIT. As a member of Boston agency, the BPDA can securely participate in the federation, which enables controlled video sharing while maintaining independent system management. The federation includes the following city entities: the Boston Police Department, the Boston Housing Authority, the City of Boston Office of Emergency Management, the City of Boston Property Management Department, and the City of Boston Transportation Department. Only exterior-facing cameras will ever be shared with partners in the Federation. All internal building footage and door access data will remain siloed and inaccessible to external partners. This separation is intentional and designed to protect tenant privacy and operational integrity. Also important to note is that access through the Federation is conditioned on agreements between each individual participating agency. For this MOU, I'm requesting today that we authorize an agreement with the Boston Police to access our exterior-facing cameras on BPDA properties. In line with other federated agreements that the Boston Police has with the other agencies in the Federation, Boston Police will also assume responsibility for responding to any public records FOIA request related to this footage. The agreement also affirms reciprocal access. Any Boston Police cameras that are pointed at our property or on our property, we will be given access to. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Lauren, thank you very much. Are there any questions from the board? Seeing and hearing none, is there a motion in order?
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Ayes have it. Thank you, Lauren. Thank you very much, Jen. Item number 6, request authorization to extend the tentative designation status of the Cronin Group LLC by 6 months through April 30th, 2026, in the continued lease negotiation with the Cronin Group LLC to facilitate the long-term lease and redevelopment of the EDIC-owned 24 Dry Dock Ave site in the Raymond L. Flynn Marine Park. Dennis, again?
Thank you, Vice Chair Shepherd. The Planning Department issued a request for proposals for the redevelopment of 24 Dry Dock back in July of 2019. 24 Dry Dock is a vacant 30,000 square foot building located within the boundaries of the Boston Ship Repair Facility in the Raymond L. Flynn Marine Park. The shipyard, they really didn't use the building for much, occasionally for the storage. It was basically a vacant building. The RFP required that the development be consistent with the Raymond L. Flynn Master Plan update and support maritime development as a condition of the award. In January of 2020, the Cronin Development was selected as a developer. They're proposing a 235,000 square foot life science building on the site. Subsequently, post designation award, Cronin purchased the Boston Ship Repair Company and now controls the entire leased premises, and they operate the successful Boston Ship Repair there now. The designation has been extended 10 times, the most recent in April of 25, where the designation was extended through October of 25. Current economic instability notwithstanding, material and construction costs remain high. Cost of borrowing is still high. The overbuilding of speculative life science buildings has resulted in several million square feet of completed buildings unoccupied. There are 2 vacant buildings in the Marine Park. Debt financing without a long-term leasing commitment from a high credit tenant is very unlikely. But the dynamic that's going on in the life science market is there's a lot of bargain hunting going on. A lot of the big players know about the oversupply and they're shopping now. The competition for tenants, understandably, is staggering. In the meantime, Cronin has continued to make progress towards their Article 80 entitlements. They've been spending money on permitting. One of the major benefits of tentative designation is it secures site control for the developer, meaning that the planning department will not negotiate with any other prospective developer during the term of the tentative designation to allow that developer to continue with their due diligence. By virtue of owning the lease between the planning department and Boston Ship Repair, Cronin literally has site control regardless of whether there's tentative designation. However, I am requesting a 6-month extension of the tentative designation through April 26th. Retaining the designation status will allow Cronin to move expeditiously in the event that a build-to-suit opportunity materializes. So this will make them a little more nimble. And there's I see no downsides in extending it. No one can predict the future, but sitting here today, I firmly believe that it's in the best interest of the planning department and Cronin to extend the tentative designation. And that is my request.
Thank you very much, Dennis. Are there any questions from the board? Seeing and hearing none, a motion is in order.
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it.
Thank you.
Item number 7, request authorization to execute a contract with McKay Construction Services, Inc. for snow plowing, snow shoveling and removal, salting and sanding services within the Raymond L. Flynn Marine Park for a period of 3 years with 2 one-year extension term options and in an amount not to exceed $217,650 annually. Chris?
Good afternoon, Vice Chair, members of the board, Madam Secretary, Director Shen. My name is Chris Galaropoulos. I am the Facilities Coordinator for the Planning Department. I'm here today to present the results for the snow plow and removal services contract for the Raymond L. Flynn Marine Park. The selected vendor will be responsible for providing comprehensive snow plowing, removal, salting, sanding services throughout the Marine Park. This scope includes furnishing all necessary labor, materials, equipment, transportation, supplies, and services required to perform the work efficiently and safely. In response to the invitation for bids issued on June 30th, 2025, the BPDA received 3 bids, which were publicly opened on July 17th, 2025. After reviewing all submissions, McKay Construction Services, Inc. was determined to be the most responsible and responsive bidder. The resulting contract will be for an annual amount of $217,650, totaling up to $652,950 for the initial 3-year term. If both renewal options are exercised, the total contract value is not expected to exceed $1,199,750 over a 5-year period. This contract will be funded through the BPDA's fiscal year 26 operating budget and represents a critical ongoing operational expense to maintain the safety and accessibility of the Marine Park for our visitors, employees, and tenants. I would be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much, Chris. Are there any questions from the board? Seeing and hearing none, a motion is in order.
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it.
Thank you.
Thank you again. Item number 8, request authorization to issue an invitation for bids for the construction of the Boston Harbor fender pile repairs in EDIC-owned properties. William?
Thank you, and good afternoon to the chair and members of the board. Today, we are requesting authorization to issue a construction invitation for bids for the fender pile repairs in Boston Harbor on both BRA and EDIC property. This is related to the planned Sail Boston 250 event that is happening next July of 2026, where we're going to have a number of international tall ships visiting Boston, and the agency anticipates a significant increase in requests to berth those large vessels on our property. So we're trying to get ahead of those requests and make sure that those typical berthing locations are ready to go. This presentation is going to be the same for one later in the evening. Just want to highlight that for you. We have 2 properties on the EDIC. One being the South Jetty out in the Marine Park. There we are installing mooring dolphins where we have recently demolished the pier structure out there. The other one is the Raymond L. Flynn Marine Park Pier 5. We're going to be installing some floating Campbells, which will allow vessels to berth up against that pier. And the BRA property is anticipated to be Pier 4 in the Charlestown Navy Yard, where we need to do some repairs to those existing fender piles. The bid package has been prepared by Childs Engineering in compliance with state law, Chapter 3039M. That contract would be awarded to the lowest bidder after being brought back to the board for approval. The current estimate for this project, all three, is in the neighborhood of $3.6 million. We have a sizable contribution from the city of Boston in the current FY25 capital budget for this work, and I anticipate on returning to the board next month with award recommendations so that we can get this work done over the winter and spring in time for the event next summer. Happy to answer any questions you have.
Thank you, William. Are there any questions from the board? Seeing and hearing none, a motion is in order.
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Again,
Thank you very much.
Item number 9, request authorization to issue a request for proposal for qualified training provider supporting the Power Corp's Boston Building Operation Program, which trains participants in industrial recognized HVACR certifications and credentials. Davo.
Good afternoon, esteemed board members. I'm Dave Jefferson. I'm the Executive Director of Power Corps Boston. It's a workforce development training program that helps young adults between the ages of 18 and 30 get training and secure employment in the green industry. We're requesting authorization to advertise and issue an RFP for program training for the Power Corps Boston Building Operations Cohort. This training program will provide training services in the following areas: hot works, commercial industrial refrigeration prep, HVACR, ESCO, HVAC, NATE, and construction math. Through this training opportunity, the cohorts would earn 70 hours of theory towards the 100-hour mass refrigeration technician license requirement while preparing for multiple industry-recognized credentials, including EPA 608, refrigerant recovery certification, hot works certification, ESCO HVAC, employment ready exam, NATE ready to work exam, and construction math. This training pathway is designed to equip Power Corps Boston participants in building operations with the technical skills and certifications necessary to advance in HVACR and building operations careers. In order to assist the Office of Workforce Development and Power Corps Boston in meeting training obligations and strengthening service requirements tied to ARPA funding and other grant sources, staff requests the board's approval to issue an RFP to secure qualified training providers for the Power Corps Boston HVACR initiative. Approval of this request will enable the Office of Workforce Development to procure services that deliver technical instruction and industry-recognized certifications, ensuring our members gain the skills, credentials, and hands-on experience necessary to pursue sustainable careers in HVACR and building operations. Thank you, and I'm happy to answer any questions you guys may have.
Dave, I do apologize and thank you for your presentation.
No problem.
Board, are there any questions? Seeing and hearing none, there's a motion in order.
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Again, thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Item number 10, personnel. Mike?
Thank you, Vice Chair, members of the board, Madam Secretary, and Director Shen. We have a number of items for your consideration on the EDIC agenda with the exact details included in the board memos. We have 3 contracts in the Director's Office, Kayla McQuarters, in the Urban Design Division, Grace Ng, and in the Development Review Division, Manavi Data. We also have 1 internship in the Research Division, Hannah Chapman, and we have 2 out-of-state travel requests. I'll answer any questions you may have.
Thank you very much, Mike. Thank you for that. The board, are there any questions? Seeing and hearing none, there's a motion in order.
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Thank you again. Next, I will be asking for a motion to adjourn the EDIC meeting.
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. All right. Thank you for joining the October 16th, 2025 Boston Redevelopment Authority Board meeting. At this time, the Boston Planning and Development Agency is hosting public meetings in a hybrid setting for the health, safety, and accessibility of the Boston residents. Hybrid means that our board meetings are conducted in person at City Hall and our boardroom on the 9th floor and virtually via Zoom and Boston City TV at the same time. For more information and updates, visit bostonplan.org. The Open Public Meeting Law requires that I notify the public that this meeting is being recorded. Please be aware that an audio and visual recording of this meeting is being made and broadcast by the Boston City TV, which is part of the City of Boston Office and Cable Communication at Xfinity Channel 26, RCN Channel 13, and Verizon Files Channel 962, and live stream at bostongov.com/cable. If there is anyone in the audience who is recording this meeting, please identify yourself now. Thank you. We will start this meeting with a roll call. Ms. Bennett.
Present.
Dr. Lansmark.
Present.
Mr. O'Malley.
Here?
And the chair is present. Thank you. We will interrupt our next agenda to first introduce Councilor Coletta.
Hi, everyone. I'm not Councilor Coletta, but I'm her Chief of Staff, Ellie Sanchez, on behalf of the Councilor.
Hello. You may go.
Awesome. Good afternoon, members of the board. I'm here on behalf of Councilor Gabriela Coletta Zapata, and at this time, I want to read a letter on behalf of her office. These are comments on Austin Street Lots Redevelopment Project, and so here we go. Dear Chair and members of the board, as the City Councilor representing Charlestown, I write regarding the Austin Street Lots Redevelopment Project PDA number 156 and the Building B development plan scheduled for your consideration on this day. This project represents a significant opportunity to advance the goals of Plan Charlestown, particularly the creation of mixed-income housing, public open space, and improved multi-transit connections for pedestrians along the New Rutherford Avenue corridor. I appreciate the extensive public engagement undertaken over the past year and the commitment to align the design with both the city's flood resiliency standards and the Article 37 green building requirements. I want to acknowledge the substantial community benefits reflected in the master plan and Building B proposal. The commitment to 123 deeply affordable rental units, all income restricted, and serving households from below 30% to 80% AMI directly addresses the pressing need for affordability in Charlestown. The inclusion of accessible units, on-site project-based vouchers, and adherence to affirmatively furthering fair housing goals is commendable. I also want to highlight appreciation for the design approach that transitions building heights toward the residential edge of the neighborhood, incorporates a well-landscaped urban plaza and lawn, and supports active ground floor uses that can enliven the public realm. The focus on sustainability sets an appropriate precedent for publicly owned redevelopment sites. However, I respectfully urge the BPDA and the development team to continue refining several key aspects of the project as the project advances. The project's long-term success depends on safe, direct, and accessible pedestrian bicycle connections to the community college MBTA station and surrounding blocks. Interim and permanent improvements to crossings at Austin Street and the new Rutherford Avenue should be closely coordinated with the city's Rutherford Avenue redesign to ensure safety and continuity. As future phases move forward, the VPDA should also ensure that the promised public athletic fields and recreational spaces remain central to the build-out, with programming that reflects community priorities. The proposal's commitments to a community center in partnership with the YMCA and an on-site child care facility are essential components of a truly holistic sub-neighborhood and must be delivered as promised. If any of these public benefits are at risk of being deferred or removed in future phases, the BPDA and the proponent should provide a clear justification and a concrete mitigation plan. Since the area is owned by the BPDA, we expect these commitments to be upheld. We also expect the construction phase will prioritize Charlestown residents through a robust local hiring requirement, targeted outreach to working people in relevant trades, and strict adherence to prevailing wage standards for everyone employed on the site. I appreciate the work of BPDA staff. Shout out to Sarah Peck, Trinity Financial, and community members in shaping this project. With continued attention to these priorities, the Austin Street redevelopment can serve as a model for equitable, resilient, and community-driven growth in Charlestown. Sincerely, Gabriela Coletta Zapata, Boston City Councilor, District 1. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
We'll take Diana Bronchuk now from Councilor Pepin's office.
Thank you, everyone. Good afternoon. This is Diana Bronchuk from District 5 City Councilor Enrique Pepin's office, and I will be stating a statement from the councilor for number 14 on the agenda. I strongly support the implementation of the direct displacement disclosure pilot. The pilot will ensure that as Boston grows, we grow responsibly with fairness, transparency, and accountability. I've always supported efforts to rezone our commercial squares and main streets for more housing, more businesses, and more life into our beloved neighborhoods. But we also have to make sure that this progress doesn't inadvertently hurt the people who built these communities. This proposal helps strike that crucial balance. My office has been involved with a number of commercial tenants being caught off guard by their landlord's decision to sell their property long after any negotiation opportunity has passed. By requiring developers to notify tenants early and disclose any potential displacement as part of their project filing, we're making sure residents, small businesses, and cultural organizations have a fair voice in the process, and that the city can step in to help mitigate displacement before it happens. Development and equity can go hand in hand. The direct displacement disclosure gives us the tools to protect what makes our neighborhoods strong while still welcoming the investment and growth that Boston needs. This is how we build a city where everyone has a place in the future. Thank you for allowing me to speak.
Thank you. Are there any other elected officials? No. With that, we will return back to regular order of business. Item number 1, request authorization for the approval of minutes of the September 18th, 2025 board meeting.
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Thank you. Item number 2, request authorization to execute a memorandum of understanding with the Boston Police Department establishing respective responsibilities for the mutual sharing of video camera data on the BRA-owned properties. Lauren.
Thank you again. This is the same motion as earlier. It's just for the BPDA properties and our security coverage.
Yes. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Are there any questions from the board?
The same prohibition is that it would just be exterior cameras, not interior cameras.
That we will never share any internal cameras with any of the other affiliated agencies.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other questions? Seeing and hearing none, a motion's in order.
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Item number 3, request authorization to award final destination status of NUBA LLC for 6 months to April 30th, 2026 as developer of a portion of parcel 8 located at Harrison Ave, parcel ID number 080-242-6040 in Washington Street, parcel ID number 080-242-6030 in the Nubian Square area of Roxbury. You.
Thank you, Vice Chair and members of the board. I'm so excited to request board approval to award final designation status to NUBA LLC for the redevelopment and sale of parcel 8 located at Harrison Avenue and Washington Street in the Roxbury neighborhood. If we can advance the slide, please. All right. So parcel 8 consists of 2 contiguous parcels highlighted in red on the map here, with photos of the current conditions of the site to the left. The larger parcel is currently owned by the Commonwealth of Massachusetts under care and control of DCR. And the smaller parcel is owned by the City of Boston under the care and control of the Mayor's Office of Housing. The disposition RFP for this site was originally envisioned through a robust community process as part of the Plan Dudley Square, now known as Plan Nubian Square. The board originally voted to award Nuba LLC, a joint venture between Urbanica and NHP Foundation, tentative designation on April 15th, 2021. Next slide, please. So Nuba LLC is proposing to create 2 buildings of approximately 110,000 gross square feet, which will include 109 all affordable units, consisting of 45 homeownership units and 64 rental units. So this project includes a ground floor commercial space and also the creation of a park at the corner of Melnia Cass Boulevard and Washington Street. This project was an especially challenging one because in addition to the proximity to the Elliott Burying Ground, the corner of Washington and Melnia Cass Boulevard is identified as the Doggett Cunningham Archaeological Site. As a result, about 8,600 square feet portion of that corner of land is to be developed as a public park, subject to preservation and conservation restriction. So this project really tries to do it all, creating much needed affordable rental and most importantly, homeownership opportunities in the Roxbury neighborhood on an underutilized public land owned by the state and the city. Not only that, we're creating a public park that protects and reemphasizes the historical significance of this site. As you can imagine, this required an incredible amount of coordination between multiple city and state departments, including not only the planning department and the Mayor's Office of Housing, but also with parks, environment, archaeology, landmarks within the city, and also with DCR, DCAM, MHC, and Mass Housing at the state level, just to name a few. Next slide, please. This rendering shows the homeownership building in the front and the apartment building in the rear, and the park design at the corner, tracing the foundation of the archaeological sites underneath. Next slide, please. So this is another closer look at the park design. So since receiving its tentative designation, Nuba LLC has received Article 80 BPDA board approval, awarded Mass Works funding. They also finalized the design of the buildings and the park with all of the authorities having jurisdiction. We also received MHC and Conservation Commission's approval of both the preservation and the conservation restrictions, respectively, and received approval for the final plans and specs from the BPDA. So now the project is currently in the process of finalizing the financing commitments and the LDA and deed. So following this vote, Nuba LLC anticipates submitting for a building permit and finalizing the construction closing process for conveyance of the land with the BPDA and commencing construction over within hopefully the next few months. And thank you. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Are there any questions from the board?
Seems like a great project.
Indeed.
Definitely agree. Are there any other questions or comments from the board? Seeing and hearing none, a motion is in order.
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Item number 4, request authorization to extend the award of final destination status of Window Developers, Inc. as developer of 12 BPDA-owned parcels through the Neighborhood Homes Initiative at Hallworthy and Hollander Streets in the Washington Park Urban Renewal Area, project number Mass R-24, located in the Roxbury neighborhood until April 30th, 2026. Again, Yoon?
Thank you again, Vice Chair and members of the board. The Hallworthy Hollander disposition site consists of 12 BPDA-owned parcels comprising of 75,000 square feet of vacant land in the Washington Park Urban Renewal Area in Roxbury. The RFP for this property was developed in collaboration with the Mayor's Office of Housing as part of the Neighborhood Homes Initiative to promote homeownership opportunities in the Garrison Trotter community. The proponent, Windale Developers, has proposed approximately 32,000 square feet new residential space consisting of 3 single-family homes, 8 side-by-side townhomes, and 2 two-family homes. Of the 23 units, 16 will be for affordable homeownership, and 5 will be market rate, and 2 will be market rate rental units. The affordable homes are evenly distributed between 80% and 100% AMI. So this developer received final designation back in October 2023 with 2 extensions of 3 months in April and July of 2024. Since the last extension, the developer has continued public right-of-way improvements on Herald Street and finalized the land disposition agreement and deed, and has been continuing discussions with the construction lender on steps towards closing. There has been a bit of a delay just because of one of the funding sources. They implemented a new underwriting policy, so the development team has been working through the new process. And at this time, I would like to request another extension of 3 months to accommodate this schedule. During this extension period, a developer will be finalizing and executing the land disposition agreement and deed. And therefore, I would like to request the board extend the final designation to Windale Developers for additional 3 months through January 31st, 2026. Thank you. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you again. Are there any questions or comments from the board? Seeing and hearing none, a motion is in order.
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Thank you. Yep. Item number 5, request authorization to extend the tentative designation of Planning Office of Urban Affairs in the Roxbury Stonehouse for the redevelopment and sale of BPDA-owned 7 through 9 Westminster Terrace in the Roxbury neighborhood, Washington Park Urban Renewal Area. Project number Mass R-24 until April 30th, 2026.
Thank you again, Vice Chair and members of the board. I promise this is the last one. I'm here to request a 6-month extension to the tentative designation of Planning Office for Urban Affairs, POA, and the Roxbury Stonehouse, RSH, for the redevelopment of 7 to 9 Westminster Terrace, which consists of about 5,700 square feet of vacant land owned by the BPDA. So the BPDA started this disposition back in 2021 and released the RFP in February 2023. We received 1 proposal at the April 2023 deadline from POA and the Roxbury Stonehouse. POA is a nonprofit housing developer affiliated with the Archdiocese of Boston, and RSH is a nonprofit organization that cares for and protects parents and child survivors of domestic abuse and helps them rebuild safe, secure, and independent lives. POA and RSH proposal seeks to create 13-unit supportive housing and emergency shelter building comprised of 11 studios and 2 two-bedroom units. Since receiving their tentative designation status in October 2023, the team received 3 6-month extensions in April 2024, October 2024, and April 2025 earlier this year. Since their last extension, the developers submitted the Federal Home Loan Bank Affordable Housing Program application for funding and also received their zoning relief. And they're very busy working towards their winter funding round. So during this tenant designation period, POA and RSH will complete their design development, assemble all the needed financing, and negotiate the terms of the deed and land disposition for the agreement. Thank you, and happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Are there any questions or comments from the board? Seeing and hearing none, a motion is in order.
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Vice Chair, I'm recusing for this one.
Yes. Item number 6, request authorization to extend the tentative designation of Madison Park Trinity 2085 Development LLC as the redeveloper of Parcel B, a portion of Parcel 10 in Roxbury, for 6 months until April 30th, 2026. Scott?
Thank you, Chair and members of the board. Parcel 10 is located in Roxbury near Nubian Square, adjacent to Melnea Cass Boulevard and Washington Street. Earlier phases of Parcel 10 redevelopment include a grocery store, ground floor commercial or retail space, and mixed-income residential units. Parcel B is the last remaining area of redevelopment on Parcel 10. The board originally voted to award Madison Tropical LLC tentative designation on May 15th, 2012, and most recently extended the tentative designation for Parcel 10B to Madison Trinity 2085 Development LLC on April 10th, 2025. Madison Trinity is proposing to create a mixed-use residential building with 96 residential units, of which 94 will be affordable. The plan also includes community amenity space and residential parking spaces in a below-grade parking garage. Since the last extension, Madison Trinity has been in dispute with Tropical Foods, the abutter, regarding alleged impacts of the proposed project. Madison Trinity has continued to advance design improvements and construction budgets throughout this time while taking into account comments from staff. During the next tentative designation period, the redeveloper seeks to engage further in mediation and resolution of the open litigation matters with Tropical Foods. The redeveloper will advance the review and approval of construction drawings and negotiate a ground lease with the BPDA. Thank you, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Scott. Are there any questions or comments from the board? Seeing and hearing none, there's a motion in order.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Thank you. Item number 7, request authorization to execute a contract with Greener Group LLC for landscaping services at the Charlestown Navy Yard for a period of 3 years with 2 one-year extension term options and a total contract amount not to exceed $889,879. Chris.
Thank you again. I'm here again today to present the results of the invitation for bids for landscaping services at the Charlestown Navy Yard. The work under this contract will be performed at the Shipyard Park located within the Charlestown Navy Yard along the Freedom Trail. The selected contractor will be responsible for comprehensive landscaping services, including planting, routine maintenance, weeding, watering, mulching, daily trash removal from receptacles, periodic power washing of park surfaces, and snow removal within the designated contract area. In response to the IFB issued on August 11, 2025, the BPDA received 14 submissions, which were opened on August 28, 2025. Greener Group LLC was determined to be the lowest responsible bidder. The resulting contract will be awarded in the amount of $153,300 annually for an initial term of 3 years. Additionally, a contingency amount not expected to exceed $20,000 annually has been included to address any unanticipated expenses. This contract will be funded through the BPDA's fiscal year 26 operating budget, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much, Chris. Are there any questions or comments from the board? Seeing and hearing none, a motion is in order.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Item number 8, request authorization to execute a contract with Northeast Weathered Services for citywide site maintenance of BRA-owned properties for a contract term of 3 years with 2 one-year extension term options, and the total contract amount not to exceed $1,370,565. Francis.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, members of the board, Secretary Polhemus, Director Shen. My name is Francis Collins from the Real Estate Operations Department. As authorized by this board on July 17, 2025, the invitations for bid went out, and it was publicly advertised pursuant to the Mass General Laws, Chapter 30B. The scope of services consists of furnishing all necessary labor, materials, equipment, transportation, supplies, and services for site maintenance services of BPDA-owned parcels across the city of Boston. The procurement schedule was as follows. The IFB was released on August 11, 2025. The virtual pre-bid conference was August 13, 2025, and the deadline for bids was August 27, 2025, with 4 total bids received. Northeast Weather Services was deemed by staff to be the most responsible and responsive bidder to submit a bid for a total price of $798,000. Northeast Weather Services is a woman-owned and minority business and are located at 41 Pleasant Street, Suite 10, Norton, Mass. 02766. The award contract will be for an amount not to exceed $266,000 annually with the initial 3-year term, with the BRA holding 2 one-year extension options that may be exercised at the sole discretion of the BPDA. Funding for the project will be from the BPDA operating budget. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Francis. Are there any questions or comments from the board? Seeing and hearing none, a motion is in order.
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Item number 9, request authorization to issue invitation for bids for the construction of the Boston Harbor fender pile repairs in BRA-owned properties. William.
Thank you again to the chair and members of the board. Good afternoon. My presentation for this agenda item is the same as was stated earlier in the meeting for the EDIC portion. Happy to answer any questions you may now have.
Thank you. Are there any questions or comments from the board? Hearing and seeing none, a motion's in order.
So moved.
Second?
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Thank you again.
Thank you.
All right, the next 2 items are read and presented jointly, but voted on separately. Item number 10, request authorization to issue an invitation for bids for the constructions of the Main Street interim deployable in Charlestown. Item number 11, request authorization to issue an invitation for bids for the construction of the Martins Park interim deployable in Boston. William?
Thank you. These next 2 agenda items involve releasing an invitation for bids for construction on City of Boston property. To provide a little bit greater context for this, I'm happy to introduce Chris Osgood, Director of the Office of Climate Resilience and the Mayor's Senior Advisor on Infrastructure. Chris?
Good afternoon, Vice Chair, members of the board. It's wonderful to see all of you. As William said, I'm Chris Osgood. I have the great pleasure of leading the City of Boston's Office of Climate Resilience. We're going to talk a little bit about first some context and then a pair of projects, both that are quick to implement and both which address some of the near-term flood risk that our residents face and our communities face. So if you hop to the next slide. We know that in our city, flood risk is not a distant concern. These are all images taken between 2018 and 2024. In fact, 3 of the 4 highest tide events in the recorded city's history occurred in that time period: January of 2018, March of 2018, and January of 2024. If you go to the next slide, we know that this is not just a near-term risk, but it's an increasing risk. Current flood models project that for the city of Boston, we're looking at around 40 inches of sea level rise between the start of the century and the 2070s, which, if unaddressed and during a major storm, a 1% flood event, could cause the scale of inundation that you see on the left-hand side of this screen. Which is why the planning department, the city as a whole, has been hard at work over the last decade, building a set of community-driven, data-informed plans that you see on the right to transform Boston's coastline. If you go to the next slide, we are hard at work in moving these projects forward. They are not just a set of plans, but we have moved forward on a set of demonstration projects. You see roughly 18 locations that are a set of near-term projects that the planning department, the parks department, and a number of other stakeholders are moving forward in our city. And those green dots reflect projects that are already completed. Places like McConnell Park in Dorchester, Martins Park in the Fort Point Channel, Langone Park in the North End, Ryan Playground, which is underway by Sullivan Square, and then in collaboration and really led by Massport, Pierce Park Phase 2. We certainly have work in front of us, which is why, if you go to the next slide, we are moving forward on 3 main strategies that are happening at the same time, but really focused on different time horizons. On the right-hand side of the screen, you see work which we are doing in collaboration with the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, really focused on long-term infrastructure projects to address long-term risk that the city may face for the second half of this century. A lot of the work that's happening in the city, though, is really on the first 2 strategies you see on this slide. In the middle, a set of projects that you saw many of in the previous slide, locations where we would expect flooding here in our city if we do not act over the course of this decade and early into the next. And then a set of work being led by our Office of Emergency Management, which is really focused on preparedness. The work that William is going to talk about really fits into those first and second categories. So if you go one more slide forward before I turn it over to William. The city is looking at a set of projects that we want to be able to move forward that are quick to build and impactful for our residents to help protect and prevent some district scale flooding in both the Fort Point Channel area and in the Charlestown area. This is work which has been identified and prioritized in collaboration between the city's planning department and the Office of Climate Resilience, and I want to recognize Ksenia Aquaviva and Nayeli Rodriguez from both of those departments who really led a lot of the initial planning, and it's phenomenal to be able to work with the real estate division, given their expertise in both planning and then collaboration with the urban design division, and obviously in engineering and construction. And so as we turn to engineering and construction, I will turn it over to William and look forward to any questions you may have.
All right, thank you, Chris. So we're going to talk about two sites briefly. The first on the next slide is Main Street in Charlestown. This is over by Sullivan Square and the Schraft Center. This is going to follow city-owned property in front of the Schraft Center. It's going to run along new infrastructure, a bike lane. It's going to cross Massport right-of-way where there's the train crossing. And it's going to end near Engine 32, the Boston Fire Department building. This is a mixed solution. We're going to do cast-in-place concrete flood wall. We're also going to do a swing gate over the rail crossing, and we're going to do a deployable, referred to as stop logs, in front of the Schraft's right-of-way. There's a driveway there. We're also going to install a raised crosswalk, which will not only improve the pedestrian and bicycle access and improve safety, but it's going to allow this resilient infrastructure to operate more efficiently. If we look at the next slide, you will see the flood pathways that we're looking to address. This is as we currently see it. So the large white rectangular on the top there is the Schraft building. The water is coming off of the Mystic River there, and it's continuing to flow past the Schrafts and into the neighborhood, impacting 11 buildings. If we look at the next slide, you'll see with the red line, we're going to install this infrastructure that I've described, and it's going to keep the water right there at the Schrafts parking lot. So hopefully at some point in time, there can be a more permanent solution to keep the water where the water belongs, but at least in the interim, we're going to have this flood wall and these deployables able to be implemented so that we can stop that flooding from entering the neighborhood and again protecting at least 11 properties. We're working very closely with Massport, CSX, that's the rail operator, as well as the Flatley companies, and currently everybody is playing nice. So we're looking forward to getting this IFB out and starting construction this winter or early spring. If we go to the next slide, we'll start talking about Martin's Park in South Boston. So Martin's Park was actually built as a resilient piece of infrastructure. There is a walkway that goes through the park that provides neighborhood access to the Harbor Walk along the Fort Point Channel, and this remains a current flood access point that we're looking to close. This will actually be a permanent measure. We're implementing it as part of our interim deployables, which is a strategy to address current flooding needs while we address more permanent infrastructure elsewhere. But this one within the park is actually going to stay permanent. We're working very closely with the Parks Department, the Richards family, Friends of Martin's Park, and we're also coordinating with the initial landscape architect who created this park. We're doing stop logs across the walkway, so if flooding is projected, folks can go out there and deploy those and then remove them as soon as the flood event has passed. On the next slide, we're going to see that Martin's Park is part of a district-wide initiative, and I'm going to be returning before you in the next couple of months with two other efforts not on BRA property. I'm going to give you a quick highlight of those now. They are both the Children's Museum and there's a public alleyway in the neighborhood. We're currently working with the private property owners of the Children's Museum. We're also working closely with property abutters in an alleyway so that we can do two additional interim deployables there, and collectively that will address significant flood access path. If we go to the next slide, you'll start to see a rendering of what we're doing on that alleyway that I mentioned. And on the next slide, you will see the overall impacts that we're trying to address with these measures. So you can see Martins Park is up there at the top of the screen, and then there's two additional red areas. The larger one is over by the Children's Museum, and the smaller one at the bottom of the screen is over at that public alleyway. If we go to the next slide, you'll start to see our timeline for these two projects. We're ready to go. We want to issue the invitation to bids on Monday, actually, provided that you give us your approval this evening. I'm hoping that we can get those bids back and come back before the board next month so that we can execute these contracts in December of this month and to get construction going over the winter and into the spring. Permitting is already underway for both of these sites. And before I go on to the request, I want to acknowledge many folks who have been involved in this. First, Chief Osgood, Chief Sweat, our own Chief Kairos Shen, and their respective departments and staff, specifically the Environment Department, the Parks Department, and the Public Works Department, the Office of Climate Resilience, Chris's staff, specifically Nayeli. She has been instrumental in moving this forward. She recently went out onto maternity leave and graciously handed this project back. She gave it to us in a very good position. We have external partners with Weston and Sampson. I'd like to acknowledge Robin Seidel. She's done extreme work for us. And Planning Department's own Ksenia Aquaviva and Riley Moran have been instrumental in getting this forward. So with that, I'm requesting authorization to advertise and issue this construction IFB for the interim deployables project on City of Boston property in Charlestown at Main Street and at Martins Park in South Boston. The bid package has been prepared by Weston and Sampson in compliance with MGL Chapter 3039M. We will, of course, award the contracts to the lowest bidder after bringing it back to the board for approval. We are currently estimating these two projects at a total of $1 million. That would be funded from the city's Coastal Resilience Reserve. That's an estimate. We're hoping that we can actually be more competitive on that, but we won't know the final price, obviously, until that comes in. And I look to return to you next month with a recommendation for award. So we're happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, William. Thank you, Chris. Thank you very much. Are there any questions or comments from the board?
A brief comment, first of all, always great to see my friend Chris Osgood, who is the right person to be leading these efforts that are so important. It was 13 years ago this month that Superstorm Sandy hit New Jersey. Had it occurred 5 or 6 hours earlier or later, you would have seen neighborhoods absolutely decimated in the city of Boston. So from my mind, $1 million is a great start, but it should just be a start. I think that we need to be serious about spending a lot on this. And I know, Chris, you are, and your team, and it's a great collaboration. So glad to see it happen and look forward to see it come to fruition.
Are there any other questions or comments from the board?
It's a very thorough piece of work.
Thank you, sir.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
I would definitely agree with that. Thank you to both of you and your teams. Thank you very much. With that, these two items will be voted on separately, so I will reread item number 10 and item number 11, and each one we will vote on. Item number 10 first, request authorization to issue an invitation for bids for the construction of the Main Street interim deployable in Charlestown. Is there a motion is in order?
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next one will be agenda item number 11, request authorization to issue the invitation for bids for the construction of the Martins Park interim deployable in Boston.
So
Motion's
moved.
in order.
Second?
There's a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it.
Thank you.
Thank you all for your work. And Will, you get to stay up there? Item number 12, request authorization to, one, enter to a cooperative agreement, or a grant agreement with the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency for a $4 million Brownsfield cleanup cooperative agreement. And number 2, issue a request for qualification for qualified engineers to design and offer environmental remediation of the Chain Forge property, Building 105 at the Charlestown Navy Yard, secure future adaptive reuse for a public construction bid. William?
All right, good afternoon again. I usually ask for money. Today I actually come giving you money. We're requesting authorization to accept and expend a $4 million award from the EPA through their Brownfields program for Building 105 in the Charlestown Navy Yard, known as the Chain Forge Building. This property was last before you May of this year when you granted authorization to execute an engineering contract with Wesson and Sampson to preserve and stabilize the building. As a brief reminder, it's a 60,000 square foot property built in 1904 by the U.S. Navy. This is the site of the production of nearly all U.S. Navy chain that was produced for the military through World War II, and actually the site where they came up with a new method of creating the chain, which allowed them to greatly increase the efficiency of doing so. However, creating chain in an urban building such as this comes with its impact, in this case, mostly environmental. The property has contaminated building materials, soil, groundwater. Namely, we're dealing with PCBs, but we also have PAHs, many heavy metals, lots of asbestos, and some dioxins. The property had previously had a partial cleanup by the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. It was previously a designated property. They also did some cleanup. However, those two efforts still rendered the site significantly burdened for redevelopment, given the extensive environmental remediation that remains. So the real estate staff earlier this year submitted an application to the EPA through the Brownfields program, making the case for them to invest $4 million in this site to not only clean it up, but to further help relieve the burden just a bit for any future redevelopment. So we're very happy to have this $4 million from the federal government. Very appreciative indeed. 9/15 of this year, September 15th, we were awarded officially that $4 million. It supplements our own current budget of $4 million to do additional stabilization and cleanup work. So this brings a total investment by the agency and the EPA to $8 million. I'm requesting authorization to issue a request for qualifications to get a licensed LSP on board so that we can start to permit and design the work that the EPA is funding this $4 million for. So two matters, please requesting authorization to accept and expend, and requesting authorization to issue the request for qualifications. And happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you. Are there any questions or comments from the board?
But cash that EPA check as soon as you can.
I'd spend that money and get the reimbursement as quickly as possible, Kate. You got it.
Are there any other questions or comments? Seeing and hearing none, there's a motion in order.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Thanks again.
Much appreciated. Good evening.
Item number 13, request authorization to execute a contract with CARP Strategies for a citywide needs assessment study for a total contract amount not to exceed $800,000 and a contract term of up to 12 months. Caitlin?
Hi. Good evening, Mr. Chair, members of the board, Secretary Bohemus, and Director Shen. For the record, I'm Ariane Thompson. I'm a planner on the zoning reform team as of this past July. So thank you for welcoming me, as this is my first appearance in front of the board. So the BPDA board previously authorized the planning department to advertise and enter into a contract for a citywide land use needs assessment with an initial focus on future land use and scenario planning. While that focus remains important, it became clear that a broader understanding of neighborhood needs as well as citywide capital and mitigation priorities is needed. To address this, the RFP was issued with an updated scope reflecting a more comprehensive, community-centered approach. The goal of the citywide needs assessment is to create a decision-making framework that addresses the unique needs of each Boston neighborhood. This framework will guide future development, planning efforts, and capital improvements, providing data-driven insights to support sustainable growth and equitable access to city services. The updated RFP was released on September 2nd, 2025, with responses due on September 26th. 4 proposals were received from Interface Studios, HRNA, CARP Strategies, and R&D Consultants. Each proposal was evaluated based on team qualifications, project manager experience, proposed approach, interview performance, and allocation of resources. Following a thorough review, interviews, and reference checks, the review committee determined that CARP Strategies is best positioned to deliver the citywide needs assessment. CARP Strategies was deemed a highly advantageous candidate for demonstrating strong qualifications, a clear methodology, and an ability to work with both subcontractors and our internal staff. The review committee therefore recommends awarding the contract to CARP Strategies to ensure that the citywide needs assessment is completed efficiently, providing a robust, data-driven framework to guide Boston's future planning and development priorities. And I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you very much. And it's first and first, so we have something in common.
You're doing great.
Did a great job.
Thank you.
Does the board have any questions or comments? Seeing and hearing none, a motion's in order.
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it.
Thanks,
Thank you
folks.
again. Item number 14, request authorization to adopt a pilot of the direct displacement disclosure to be integrated as part of a new project filing for the small projects filed under Article 80E of the zoning code and the large projects filed under Article 80B of the zoning code for a period of 12 months with the option to extend for an additional 12 months. Catherine.
Pleasure to be here before you all. My name is Catherine Lusk. I serve as Executive Director of the Planning Advisory Council, and I'm here to present the Article 80 Direct Displacement Disclosure Pilot Proposal to you on behalf of a large team of multiple departments who put this proposal forward. Next. As the board recalls, over the last year and a half, a cross-departmental team had worked to advance the city's first anti-displacement action plan. It was adopted by the board in July of 2025. It included a commitment to create a new direct displacement disclosure to help mitigate residential, small business, and cultural displacement that may be associated with new development, creating more predictability for all parties. Next. Over the last 6 months, and indeed longer, many of us have been working and conducting extensive stakeholder engagement to understand the priorities of all of the constituencies involved in the disclosure. We heard very loud and clear from the development community, excuse me, my eyes aren't that good, an understanding that supporting good tenants is really good business. They asked that the disclosure process be standardized and integrated into existing Article 80 processes, that it not lengthen the Article 80 process, that we take all steps to avoid duplication of work, including consideration for federal obligations under the Uniform Relocation Act, that we note actions should be included as part of overall mitigation, and that we really be thoughtful to target this disclosure to high priority tenants, particularly vulnerable residents and the smaller operators that are priorities for community. We heard from community, including residents, arts, and small business stakeholders, a strong desire for the city to implement the disclosure before additional rezoning is passed. They asked for a process that respects lives and livelihoods of the tenants that are impacted by projects, that would prioritize our most vulnerable residential tenants, that would particularly prioritize anchor tenants, including those small businesses, cultural and civic venues that have high community value, and they have a preference wherever possible for an option to return to provide the most stability for tenants and neighborhoods. Next, please. As part of the review, we also look back on past projects to draw on our own best practices where we have examples of model scenarios where we have provided adequate support to tenants throughout the development process. In optimal cases, tenants were aware of the proposed project and could plan their lives accordingly. The city was aware of existing tenancies, and relevant staff in the right department were able to offer help to tenants as needed. The proponents in appropriate instances took reasonable steps to support relocation of impacted tenants. The proponents in very select high community priority instances took an opportunity for a prior tenant to return to the new premises if they chose. And proactive communication created predictability for all parties and a smoother review process. Next. With these lessons in mind, the Planning Department, Mayor's Office of Housing, Mayor's Office of Arts and Culture, Office of Economic Opportunity and Inclusion are proposing a new direct displacement disclosure integrated into Article 80 review for small and large project filings. We're proposing it be rolled out on a 12-month pilot period with the possibility to extend for 24 months, beginning January 1st, 2026. We are proposing proponents would notify tenants of the proposed project 30 days in advance of filing, disclose any potential direct displacement of residential, commercial, or cultural tenants to us, and in select instances commit to displacement mitigation for a targeted population of tenants as part of the review process prior to board approval. We're proposing that the city would work with proponents to support tenants, recommend mitigation support for priority populations and tenancies, consider any direct displacement mitigation alongside other project asks, avoid duplication, so we're also taking steps to streamline the affirmatively furthering zoning self-assessment, and credit any displacement mitigation as part of overall mitigation community benefits, which is already existing practice. I wanted to provide a quick note, next slide, on the guidelines that have been developed, both with our colleagues in other departments as well as with community input. This was something that we asked, certainly from proponents, but others from community, to try to reflect back to project proponents the kinds of things we've heard about what might constitute a priority tenancy, where the community would have an expectation of support and the city therefore might also have an expectation of support. Next slide. So in the interest of transparency, we wanted to provide an understanding of priority populations of uses and some recommended support in terms of relocation and option to return for different populations. On the residential side, we are recommending priority population would be those special populations who are elders 62 plus in age, tenants with disabilities, and households with below 80% AMI who do not voluntarily choose to relocate. We are recommending that they receive $15,000 per household, a 12-month notice to vacate, search support for a new home, and/or preference for new units if they are income eligible, which would give them an option to return to the new development. As with regard to small business, civic, and cultural tenancies, there's three categories that were considered high priority uses. The first is legacy small businesses, or those folks that have been in operation for 10 or more years and are considered high community value. Here, we're making a recommendation of relocation support, which could include search support or financial support to relocate to new premises, and a feasible option to return if both parties are interested, and that might include tenant improvement allowance or reasonable rent terms at the new building. The second category are those enterprises that serve a priority community need. These could be a grocery store, a pharmacy, a laundromat, child care provider, or community serving nonprofit. And here we're recommending that these folks be provided with a feasible option to return. And we note publicly that the city and the community will likely be advocating strongly for a replacement of use in these cases. And lastly, the third category are organizations that are community venue, that have been around for 5 or more years, that have high community value. We're suggesting relocation support, as well as, again, a feasible option to return. And on the next slide, we have also been asked to be transparent, and again, doing this with community input, about instances where we do not anticipate that we or the community would be asking for proponents to provide mitigation support. So in the case of residential tenants, those would be instances where tenants who, as of the date of notice, have been given the option to renew their lease at a similar rent and declined. Tenants who are 3+ months in arrears on their rent who have not entered into a reasonable payment plan, and tenants who have received a fault eviction judgment in housing court. With regard to what we call commercial and cultural tenants, we would not be suggesting mitigation support if they are a national chain or franchise, if they are more than 3+ months in arrears on their rent, if the business organization or proprietor is not in good standing with the city of Boston. That can be multiple things. That's up to us to verify and make the proponent aware. If they have past labor violations or credible evidence of unfair labor practices, if they no longer wish to operate in Boston, if they anticipate closing or had planned to close, and if they are fall in the category of a liquor store, check cashing payday lender, retail bank, or professional services or lab space. And next slide. And I want to say just a quick word on the steps and templates, again, in the interest of templatizing the disclosure process. Next slide. There's really two core components, a tenant notification form and a direct displacement disclosure. Next slide. The tenant notification form would be a city template available in 12 languages. There's 2 versions, one for residential tenants and one for commercial and cultural tenants. Each of those includes a notice to the tenant on the development project itself, where they can go to get additional information. It directs them to available tenant resources, ensuring that they are aware of the folks within City Hall who can help them. It lays out a process description of the development review process and where they are in that process. And for landlords who want to gather additional information to understand special populations, it also includes an addendum for information gathering purposes. Next slide. And we are, as I mentioned, proposing that we are asking the developers mail the tenant notification form to their tenants at least 30 days before project filing. Next slide. The second component is the direct displacement disclosure, which would be filled out and submitted as part of the project filing at PNF or SPRA. This includes applicability. So, of course, in the interest of streamlining process, the very first section of that form says, does this apply to you? And we are very clear that there's a number of instances where there would be exemption from the disclosure process. So, for example, if there are no tenants on site, you've fulfilled your responsibility. If the Uniform Relocation Act or the Mass Relocation Act applies to your instances, make us aware of that, you've fulfilled your obligation. If the existing tenant is the developer, right, if the small business on site is in fact the one developing, you've fulfilled your obligation. It is your own project that you are moving forward. All of those folks would be exempt. We would also then, where there are tenants and there's not an exemption, be asking for additional information on the tenants themselves and their tenancies, and then providing space to understand any proposed mitigation actions or any discussions that the proponent has had with their tenants, and actions they are prepared to take at that point in time or are aware of that they're prepared to take at that point in time to support relocation or option to return. Next slide. As I mentioned, we are asking developers to fill out the disclosure and submit it as part of their project filing. It is incumbent upon us then to review it. IAG members and community would have an opportunity to review it as part of the project filing as well. And if needed, the city would provide written feedback as part of the consolidated feedback memo in the totality of the project. Last slide. And if displacement mitigation is proposed and accepted, it would be documented in the board memo and credited as part of the mitigation and community benefits. And the final terms would ultimately be included in the cooperation agreement. Next is actually the final slide, forgive me. The disclosure, we are proposing that it would go into effect on January 1st, 2026, and between now and then, the city will post the tenant notification form templates in 12 languages, post the direct displacement disclosure and integrate it into the developer portal, post the priority population and tenancies guidance publicly, modify the affirmatively furthering fair housing zone and self-assessment form to eliminate any duplicate questions, and finally conduct staff training for designees in multiple departments and establish internal staff processes for implementation and administration. I'm happy to take any questions, and thank you so much.
Thank you, Catherine. Are there any questions or comments from the board?
I have one. Thank you, Catherine. Obviously, this is great. I support it. Look forward to seeing it implemented. There was one term, though, that I'm sure maybe raised some eyebrows, or I guess I'm looking for some more information. We talked about potential exemption. So if a tenant was 3 months in arrears with rent or whatever, it said if a similar lease was offered at similar rent. What does similar rent mean? Is there a percentage?
Sorry, say that one more time.
There was a slide that talked about sort of exemptions or when this wouldn't be applied, and if a tenant was in arrears and paying their rent, for example.
Oh, sorry.
And then this also said that if the landlord offered a new lease at a similar rent.
I would defer to I don't think Andy is here. Andy's here. I would defer to my Mayor's Office of Housing colleagues if there's an official definition of similar rent, or if that is in the eye of the beholder.
Yeah, precisely, because is there a window that similar rent would, and I assume it's a percentage.
Sure, thanks, Member. Hi, Andy Feldman, Housing Policy Manager with Mayor's Office of Housing. I believe that when we had our legal policy team look into this, the standard that we found was usually no more than a change of around 10%. So having some sort of objective measure like that to be able to determine that.
Great, thank you.
Thank you, Andy.
This is great. Thank you so much. It's great to see it moving forward. I'm just curious, are we ahead of the curve in terms of other cities? Did you find other cities doing this? Or like if you happen to know, just
I didn't share that. We did also look at whether there's comparable policies in other cities. I would say we haven't found anything comparable that is thinking as holistically about both residential and commercial and cultural displacement. You know, from when we came here to talk about the anti-displacement plan, from the very beginning of that process, that was a priority for our residents to really be thinking about both how do we anchor residents and how do we anchor the things that serve their needs, and trying to do those both together. And so as far as I know, we've not found another example of a city that's thinking about both, tenants, both residential and commercial to cultural tenants, and thinking about stabilization measures for both. We have seen some other cities that have comparable examples of relocation terms and relocation support that's provided, that they're asking proponents to provide when new developments happen.
thanks.
Yeah.
That's great.
And if the board is curious, happy to share any of that background research as well at any point.
Catherine, I would ask, looking back a little bit and then looking a little forward, would you say the developments that have happened, has there been a lot of resident displacement, in that window you can think of?
We did do a review of past development projects, certainly in recent years, and we see this in a very small minority of cases where we do see direct displacement associated with projects. So it is rare in relative to the entire portfolio of development projects that come through. But what we've lacked is a consistent way of documenting it and then setting the city up to be a good partner, and then ensuring that the community and the proponent and the tenants themselves are all well informed in those cases, so that we can move together, as you heard from Councilor Pepin and others, so that we can move together in partnership and make sure that those tenants are adequately supported.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Seeing and hearing none, a motion's in order.
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Thank you. Item number 15, request authorization to grant permission to the director to sign a municipal planning board notification form on behalf of the Boston Redevelopment Authority Board, signifying that they have been notified of the intention of, one, the Massachusetts Department of Conservation and Recreation and MassDOT to file a Chapter 91 license application for Mystic River Bicycle Pedestrian Bridge, and two, the Massachusetts Department of Conservation and Recreation to file a Chapter 91 license application for a public dock at Herder Park with the Department of Environmental Protection. Elaine?
Good evening, Vice Chair, Secretary.
Elena, excuse me.
No worries.
No, sorry.
Good evening, Vice Chair, Secretary Paul Hemus, members of the board, and Director Shen. My name is Ilana Hames, and I am presenting to inform you of two projects seeking a Chapter 91 license pursuant to the Public Waterways Act. Part of said licensing process involves notifying the municipal planning board or local equivalent of a project's application for a license. The first of these projects is a new pedestrian bridge and bicycle bridge across the Mystic River, connecting the cities of Somerville and Everett between Draw 7 Park and the Northern Strand Community Trail. The project aligns with the planning goals of the Everett Central Waterfront Municipal Harbor Plan. While this project is not subject to the jurisdiction of the City of Boston, per 310 CMR 911, a certification that a copy of the license application has been submitted to the planning board of each city or town where the work is to be performed, except in the case of a proposed bridge, dam, or similar structure across a river, cove, or inlet, in which case notice shall be given to the planning board of every municipality into which the tide water of said river, cove, or inlet extends. The proponents, DCR and MassDOT, are seeking a license for a water-dependent infrastructure use and are expected to meet all stipulations set forth for a water-dependent for a water-dependent infrastructure use set forth by the Code of Massachusetts regulations for such projects on flowed tidelands and in the public right-of-way. Next slide, please. The second of these applications is a filing for a Chapter 91 license for a new public dock at Herder Park in Alston. This project will fulfill the mitigation requirements set forth by the Chapter 91 license issued for the President and Fellows of Harvard College for the Weld and Newell boathouses and complies with the Herder Park Master Plan. The proponent, DCR, is seeking a license for a water-dependent public service use and is expected to meet all stipulations set forth by the Code of Massachusetts regulations for such projects on filled and flowed tidelands. Thank you, and I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you. For the board, are there any questions or any comments? Seeing and hearing none, there is a motion in order.
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Thank you. Item number 16, request authorization to issue a certificate of completion for the successful completion of 55 Summer Street in the downtown neighborhood in accordance with Section C4 of the Cooperation Agreement by and between the Boston Redevelopment Authority, DBA, Boston Planning and Development Agency, and BP3-BOS 555 Summer, and excuse me, yep, BOS 555 Summer Street LLC, dated September 13th, 2023. I'm going direct to a motion.
So moved.
Second?
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Thank you.
Vice Chair, I'm going to
Yes.
recuse for this one.
Item number 17, request authorization to issue a certificate of completion for the successful completion of construction of Building M located within the Bunker Hill Housing Redevelopment in Charlestown neighborhood in accordance with Section C4 of the cooperation agreement by and between the Boston Redevelopment Authority, DBA, Boston Planning and Development Agency, and Bunker Hill Land Co., LLC, for proponent dated October 7th, 2022. A motion is in order.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. You want to grab Kate? Oh, thank you. Item number 18, request authorization to issue a certificate of completion for the successful completion of 69 to 71 Proctor Street, Roxbury Preparatory Charter School in the Roxbury neighborhood in accordance with Section C4 of the cooperation agreement by and between the Boston Redevelopment Authority, DBA, Boston Planning and Development Agency, and Uncommon Schools, Inc., Roxbury Pre-Preparatory Charter School dated April 7th, 2023. A motion is in order.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Thank you. Item number 19. Informational update on Article 80 modernization engagement improvements. Christina.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, members of the board, Madam Secretary, and Director Shen. My name is Christiana Lacusa, and I'm the Deputy Director of Community Engagement for the Planning Department. And I'm here today to provide an informational update on the Article 80 modernization project. There is no vote needed for this item. Next slide. So as you know, over the last 2.5 years, the Planning Department has been engaged in research, engagement, and analysis as part of the Article 80 modernization project to study, evaluate, and recommend improvements to the development review process and Article 80 of the Boston Zoning Code. Throughout this time, we did a lot of listening, learning, and received feedback on our proposals to make improvements to how our Article 80 development review process looks and works. This led to our action plan, which was finalized in April of 2025, and our early action supplement, which was presented to this board in April 2025, and identified recommendations with strong support from development industry and community stakeholders, which we've begun to implement. Next slide, please. The update I'm presenting today covers 3 of these early actions that focus on ways to improve our engagement practices. Specifically, these include supporting development teams to lead engagement efforts before filing their projects, expanding our engagement, and supporting improvements for advisory groups. Next slide, please. Throughout the project, we have heard a lot from community members that has really helped influence some of the changes we're going to talk about today, including that 77% of our survey respondents told us they want more ways to learn about and get involved, while only 30% of respondents find that the Planning Department spreads the word about our comment periods and about key project milestones like receiving a filing, that there is a need for improved clarity as only 27% of survey respondents understand how their input is used, and 46% of survey respondents told us that their top priority for Article 80 modernization is improving our advisory groups. From all this feedback, we've heard the clear need to make improvements, and that is what we're rolling out first. Next slide, please. So all of the improvements that we'll show focus on these 3 categories of change: improving our existing engagement methods to make them more inclusive and welcoming, expanding our engagement options to make it easier for folks to learn about and share their feedback about projects, and supporting advisory group members by creating more transparency and clarifying expectations. Next slide, please. While there are lots of ways to move forward those approaches, we're starting with the following exciting updates. So 1 is our early engagement toolkit, improving our advisory group meetings, project site signage, and modernized public meetings. And over the next few slides, I'll go into more details about each of these. On to the next slide. So One of the first things we're offering is new resources and best practices so that whether a developer has been working in Boston for years or is beginning their first project, the planning department is helping them put their best foot forward with the community. This includes guides to lead site walks, table at community events, survey, or host workshops before filing the project with the planning department. Next slide, please. We've heard from community members and developers alike that good early engagement leads to better projects and a smoother review. While the use of these tools is optional, we encourage project proponents to utilize them for their upcoming projects. On to the next slide. We are also releasing resources to support advisory groups becoming more transparent and for members to be trained and have clearer expectations of their commitment. These new training materials, forms to disclose interests, and meeting expectations will help encourage productive dialogue during these meetings. On to the next slide. We are also expanding how people learn about projects in their neighborhood by launching new site signage. These are yard signs that are placed at the development site in the most used languages in the neighborhood that share key information about the project and direct people to the planning department's website to learn more and share their comments. On to the next slide. And lastly, we're also improving our public meeting experiences by having more visual and engaging slides, increasing staff capacity and supporting more active facilitation of meetings, collecting demographic information, regularly closing feedback loops, and creating the opportunity for continuous improvement. So in the coming days, the planning department will release these new toolkits and resources that I mentioned, and staff will start taking new steps to support improved engagement efforts as part of the Article 80 development review process. And the new advisory group forms will be requested from appointed members starting after January 1st, 2026. This work is iterative and will continue to partner with community members, development stakeholders, and city staff to evaluate, further refine, and prepare for the continued future improvements. That concludes my presentation, and I'm happy to answer any questions you may have. Thank you.
Christina, thank you. Thank you for that report. Board members, are there any questions or comments?
Great.
Definitely.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
Is there a motion in order?
No,
So moved.
excuse me, there's no vote.
No vote, yes, yes.
Oh,
sorry
right,
about
no
that.
vote.
There is no vote. Thank you very much. Item number 20, request authorization to, 1, issue a certification of approval pursuant to Article 80E, Small Project Review of the Zoning Code for the proposed construction of 36 residential units, including 6 inclusionary zoning units, 20 car parking spaces, and 50 bicycle parking spaces located at 80 Gardner Street, and to enter into a community benefit agreement and to take all related actions. So,
thank you, and good afternoon, Mr. Chair, members of the board, Secretary Polhemus, and Director Shen. My name is Zoe Duvall. I'm a project manager in the Development Review Division of the Planning Department, and we are here before you to discuss the proposed Article 80E small project located at 80 Gardner Street in Alston. The proposed project is an infill development consisting of a new 6-story building being added to the surface lot of a site with an existing 28-unit multifamily apartment building. The new building would contain approximately 40,000 gross square feet, consisting of 36 residential rental units, 18 new garage parking spaces, and 38 long-term bike parking spaces. 8 of the existing surface lot parking spaces will remain. The proponent filed a small project review application on June 27, 2025. The planning department hosted a virtual public meeting, which was held on July 23rd, which was advertised in the local newspapers and posted on the planning department website with notification emails sent to all subscribers of the Alston Brighton Neighborhood Update List. The public comment period for this project ended on July 28th, and I will now hand it over to my colleague Alana to present the planning context before the development team begins their presentation. Thank you.
Thanks, Zoe. Good evening, Vice Chair, Secretary Polhemus, members of the board, and Director Shen. My name is Ilana Hames, and I am covering for Michelle Yee, who is the planning review team planner assigned to this project. Next slide, please. The proposed project at 80 Gardner Street is located in the Alston Brighton Neighborhood Zoning District within a 3F 4000 subdistrict. This area is primarily residential until Gardner Street reaches the Boston University campus, where it transitions to a more institutional and commercial use. This lot currently contains a 4-story multifamily residential building and a surface parking lot. The proposed project also falls within the boundaries of the Alston-Brighton Needs Assessment, which was approved and adopted by the BPDA Board in January 2024. As this project is proposing a transit-oriented mixed-use building with 6 units of income-restricted housing, this is consistent with the need for accessible and affordable housing found in the needs assessment. Additionally, other plans that were considered include the ongoing Beacon Park Yard Regional Framework Plan and the Alston-Brighton Community Plan, as these plans will guide the growth in the neighborhood and the area surrounding the proposed project. Next slide, please. Within this figure, the proposed project is compared to what is allowed under current zoning. The pink highlights the maximum height and setbacks, and as you can see, while the proposed project could build out to the area shown in pink, zoning relief is recommended because the proposed height and density better reflect the existing built environment of Gardner Street, which is predominantly multifamily residential. Additionally, the project will also bring several public realm improvements, including improving the sidewalk and streetscape on Gardner Street and the removal of an existing curb cut. Thank you, and I will turn it over to the development team to present the project in more detail.
Good afternoon, members of the board. My name is Dennis Greenwood with Souza Design Architects, and I'm going to walk you through a kind of brief overview of the proposed project. So on the slide here, you can see an aerial view of 80 Gardner Street, our site. On the left side of the highlighted area, you can see that existing 4-story apartment building that contains 28 existing apartment units. On the right side of that highlighted area, you can see what is currently surface parking, as well as a couple single-story garage stall units as well. So the proposed project we're excited about because it's an infill development of a currently underutilized surface parking area with 0 displacement of existing tenants. Next slide, please. So here's a photo, street view along Gardner Street. Again, on the left, you can see the 4-story existing apartment building. On the right, you can start to see, and you'll see a little better in upcoming slides as well, you can see that surface level parking area where there's currently 20 surface level parking spaces, and you can start to see that single-story garage structure that's on that site as well. Next slide, please. And here we're a little bit further east on Gardner Street, looking back towards the existing building. Again, on that left side, you can see there's an existing curb cut into that surface level parking area. On the right, you can see a more up-close view of that. So that's the area which you'll see in the following slide is where we're proposing this new infill development. So again, there's 28 units in the existing building on the left there that you can see now, and then we're proposing 36 new dwelling units in the new structure that'll all be connected below grade via parking structure. Next slide. So in developing the project, we worked with the development team and obviously in speaking with the neighbors and members of the planning board. We were looking at site context for a number of reasons. One is obviously scale. So there's a number of units highlighted here, a number of buildings in the neighborhood that are between 5 and 7 stories tall, as well as some others that are, between 7 and 12. So we're looking at scale and appropriateness for the neighborhood. And we thought that, being 1 block off of Brighton Ave, the 6 stories proposed was in keeping with kind of the new scale that kind of that higher quarter that's being developed now. Next slide. And so here we have a side-by-side of the existing and proposed site plans. So on the left is the existing site plan. You can see that, again, we have the existing 4-story structure outlined, kind of starting at the midpoint of the parcel and then over to the left. There is currently a ramp access down, so the site slopes about 8 or 9 feet from Gardner Street from the front down to the rear of the site, where you can see currently there's 5 parking spaces at the back of the building. There's also access to a parking garage on the lower level that would be at the rear of the building. We're going to maintain that access, and then we're going to have access to parking in our lower level via that existing building. So we're going to keep everything kind of from the existing building to the left, that ramp down, and then we're going to modify those rear 5 parking spaces to be usable open space. And then on the right, all that surface level parking space is going to get excavated. We're gonna put in a new 36-unit building and then connect the lower level, the parking areas, between the two structures. So on the right, you can see where we have our proposed 36-unit building. What we're doing it for site improvements, which you'll see in the upcoming landscape plans a little more clearly, is we're gonna close off the existing curb cut along Gardner Street that accesses that existing surface parking area. We're gonna create usable open space along that front area. We're gonna create usable open space and passive seating and recreation space between the two structures, as well as create new usable open space at the rear of the lot. Next slide, please. So again, so here's the, one slide of the landscaping, which we've worked kind of to continue improving with the planning department, as well as based upon neighborhood feedback. What we're proposing is, again, we're going to close off the curb cut along Gardner Street that exists now. We're going to maintain the one existing curb cut on the left of the plan here. So that's the west side of the site that would go to that access ramp down to the parking via the rear of the building. But along that front area where we're closing off the curb cut in front of the new structure, we're going to introduce new visitor bike parking areas, another shade tree, and then we're going to improve the streetscape as well by introducing new landscaping, some bench seating areas, again, some kind of passive seating areas in between the two buildings, and then different kind of zones of seating, as well as some private terraces and rear balconies on the site. Next slide. And so here you can see how we're complying to the Boston Complete Streets requirements. We are introducing the tree planting / furniture zone along the front of the building where, adjacent to the street rather, where we would have some new post and ring bike parking spaces, as well as that new shade tree along Gardner Street. And then of course, the continuation of the 5-foot concrete sidewalk and then our front lawn and planting area. Next slide. And so here's the east elevation. And we'll end with the rendering, which will kind of show the building a little bit more clearly. But our approach here was we had kind of a strong presence of the 5-story building along the front, along Gardner Street. We wanted that to be a masonry building, kind of tying into the local context of the neighborhood. So we have the kind of the red brick, which is very typical of the neighborhood. And then as we go further back from the site, we want to step back to the 6th floor to kind of diminish that height, reduce the massing along Gardner Street, and reduce kind of that sight line, and then give a stronger presence in materiality to that front portion of the building, which is, kind of a contemporary interpretation of the brick apartment building. And in the rear, you can see we do have those balconies, and we have some terraces off the rear of the building to provide some outdoor amenity space for the private unit usage. And we are, again, at 6 stories high. So next slide, please. And so here's the rear of the building for context. So I'm going to start kind of from the right and work to the left. On the right, you can see the ramp down that's existing, around that existing building to remain. And you can see the garage entry there. So entering into that garage would be the vehicular access, which connects both the existing structure and the proposed structure that we're putting on the site. And again, on the left here, you can see those rear balconies that we're looking to incorporate as well. Next slide, please. Okay, and I think this kind of captures the essence of the design a little bit better. So here's a 3D view along Gardner Street. So again, what we're looking at is that contemporary expression of the apartment building, where we're utilizing masonry, a full weight brick along those the front portion of the building. Goes back about 25 feet. We're creating strong base with a darker brick color on that first floor. We're utilizing a soldier course between the first and second floor to add some detailing, as well as a lintel piece over the windows. We have a datum between the 4th and 5th floor to, again, introduce a little bit of detail and kind of tie into the scale of the adjacent buildings. And then a stronger cornice line, a corbelled cornice at that 5th floor to demarcate kind of the step back to that 6th floor, where we transition to a rain screen system, a wood-look rain screen system. We're also, we utilized a couple elements here, like the large corner windows to help again, with a temporary extraction, and it helps kind of erode those corners and reduce the scale of the building. And then we worked with, again, with the planning department on some different pieces, modified the streetscape. We introduced the canopy at the entrance to kind of mark that piece, and further develop the landscaping between the two buildings. And with that, I would open it up to any questions that the board may have.
Thank you. Thank you for that presentation. Are there any questions or comments from the board? Seeing and hearing none, a motion is in order.
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Item number 21, request authorization to, one, issue a director's determination pursuant to Article 80A-6.1 of the zoning code for the 290 Tremont Street project located at parcel P-12C in the South Cove Urban Renewal Area, project number Mass R-92, in connection with the notice of project change filed by Asian Community Development Corporation. And two, issue a certification of compliance for the proposed project pursuant to Article 80B of the code upon successful completion of large project review and take all actions required. Dan.
Good evening, Mr. Chair, members of the board, Director Shannon, Secretary Palhimus. My name is Daniel Polanco, and I'm the project manager for the notice of project change before you tonight in regards to 290 Tremont Street, parcel P12C project located in the Chinatown neighborhood. The 290 Tremont Street project was originally approved by this board on March 14th, 2024 as a 12-story, 132-unit building. At the time, the units were intended to be 96 affordable rentals and 36 affordable condominium units. In May of 2025, the Asian Community Development Corporation filed a notice of project change due to the limited ability of funding associated with the development of home ownership units through the Mass Housing Commonwealth Builders Program, the only state funding source for affordable home ownership development. The Asian CDC now seeks to create a total of 111 units, all in which will be rental. All the units will remain affordable at between 30% and 80% AMI. The proposed building will also be reduced by 10 stories. The changes associated with the MPC were presented at the public meetings on August 11, 2025 and October 7, 2025. Thank you for your time and consideration. The development team is here in attendance tonight. Should we have any questions you have? Thank you.
Thank you, Dan. Are there any questions or comments from the board? Seeing and hearing none.
So moved.
Motion in order. So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Thank you. Item number 22, request authorization to enter into an affordable housing agreement for the proposed creation of two IDP homeownership units located at 43 through 45 Stanton Street and to take all related actions. Andy.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair, Secretary Polhimus, and members of the board. I'm Andy Feldman, Housing Policy Manager with the Mayor's Office of Housing. Tonight, I'm here to request your vote on an affordable housing agreement for the proposed development at 43 to 45 Stanton Street in Dorchester. This development proposes to build 14 condos, and while it didn't trigger Article 80 due to its size, it did trigger the inclusionary development policy. Therefore, the vote in front of you tonight will allow the agency to enter into a housing agreement to dedicate 2 units under the IDP. Thank you. Happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Andy, thank you. Thank you very much. To the board, are there any questions or comments? Seeing and hearing none, the motion's in order.
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. All right, next we're going to take a brief recess to get everything ready for our public meeting. So give us a quick 5 minutes and we'll be back. Thank you. hearing before the Boston Redevelopment Authority, doing business as the Boston Planning and Development Agency, being held in conformance with 80A-2 and 80C-5.4 of the Boston Zoning Code. To consider the proposed master plan for the planned development area number 156 Austin Street lots redevelopment in Charlestown, along with the proposed Building B development plan within the planned area. The hearing was duly advertised on October 3rd, 2025 in the Boston Herald. This is a BPDA hearing on a proposed petition by the agency staff members will first present their case and are subject to questioning by members of the agency thereafter. Anyone who wishes to testify about the proposed project will be afforded an opportunity. We are taking support and opposition at the same time. If you are planning to testify via Zoom, please take the time now to verify that your computer microphone is active and click the hand icon on the Zoom control panel. This will signal to staff that you would like to speak when your hand is raised. It will be blue. If you're calling into the meeting and would like to testify, please dial *9 to raise your hand. When I call for all testimony, staff will announce your name and allow you to talk. You must unmute your mic. Your webcam will not be active. If you are planning to testify in person in the boardroom, please line up behind the podium after the presentation is concluded, and we will call upon you. In an effort to accommodate all who would like to speak about the proposal, each person will be given up to 2 minutes to comment. BPDA staff will indicate when 30 seconds remain. At that time, please conclude your remarks so that the hearing may continue and others may be heard. Finally, the proponents are allowed a period of 5 to 10 minutes to rebuttal if they so desire. Sarah, please begin the presentation.
Vice Chairman, before we begin, at the beginning of the meeting, we made a request that anybody who's recording the meeting, that they identify themselves. So given that you all were not in here then, I'm going to make that request again. And if anybody's recording the meeting, if you could let us know.
Thank you. Sarah, floor is yours.
Great, thank you. And good evening, Chairman Shepherd, members of the board, Director Shen, and Secretary Paulimus. My name is Sarah Peck, and I'm a development portfolio manager in the Development Review Department. We're here before you this evening to discuss the proposed master plan for planned development area number 156, the Austin Street lots redevelopment, the PDA development plan for Building B, and the Building B project proposed within PDA number 156. The PDA area consists of a 5.1 acre area of land located generally at the southwestern corner of Austin Street and New Rutherford Avenue intersection in the Charlestown neighborhood of Boston. The proposed development of the master plan area includes 4 new mixed-use buildings, collectively containing up to 790,000 square feet. The master plan proposes up to 705 new dwelling units and residential amenities, arts and culture space, early childhood education space, indoor recreation space, and structured and surface vehicle parking spaces, together with an urban plaza and lawn, athletic and multipurpose fields, and related site and public realm improvements. The Building B development plan and project proposes the construction of a new up to 7-story, 126,000 square foot building containing 123 all affordable residential rental units and residential amenities, together with bicycle storage, an urban plaza and lawn, and a new connection across the northern site between New Rutherford Avenue and the rear service driveway, up to 10 surface vehicle parking spaces and related site and public realm improvements. A PNF was filed for the master plan project on May 21st, 2024, which initiated a public comment period concluding on July 2nd, 2024. The Planning Department hosted an IAG meeting on June 10th, 2024, and a public meeting on June 18th in connection with that PNF. The Planning Department issued a request for supplemental information on July 24th, 2024, in response to the PNF filing. draft versions of a planned development area master plan, a planned development area development plan for Building B, and a supplemental filing, for Building B were filed with the Planning Department on May 15th, 2025. This initiated a public comment period concluding on July 8th, 2025. The Planning Department hosted IAG meetings on June 2nd and September 22nd, and public meetings on June 24th and September 24th in connection with those three filings. The meetings were held virtually on Zoom and advertised in the local newspapers, posted to the Planning Department's calendar, and email notification was sent to all subscribers of the Planning Department's Charlestown neighborhood updates. The master plan and Building B development plan were considered by the Boston Civic Design Commission on July 9th, 2024, with design subcommittee meetings on July 23rd, 2024, June 3rd, 2025, June 17th, 2025, and July 15th, 2025. BCDC approved the master plan and Building B at the September 9th, 2025 meeting. I also want to thank all of the Impact Advisory Group members for their work on reviewing this project over the past few years. We do appreciate their taking their time and volunteering to be a part of this review process. And now, at this point, I would like to hand it off to my colleague, Ford Del Vecchio, to present the planning context for the project, followed by a presentation from the development team. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you for that. Good evening, Mr. Vice Chair, Secretary Polimas, members of the board, and Director Shen. My name is Ford Del Vecchio, and I'm the planning review team member covering this project for Michelle Yee, the planner assigned to this project. The proposed master plan, totaling approximately 5.1 acres, is located within the Charlestown Neighborhood Zoning District, within a mixed-use 1 zoning district, where planned development areas are allowed. Additionally, portions of the site also fall within the Coastal Flood Resilience Overlay District. This area is currently used as surface parking lots next to the elevated I-93 viaduct. Next slide, please. The master plan site falls within the boundaries of Plan Charlestown, which was adopted by the BPDA board in September 2023. The plan's land use, height, and density recommendations were then codified by the Zoning Commission in October 2023. Plan Charlestown was an analysis of neighborhood needs and included recommendations to improve access to services, new zoning for existing industrial parts of the neighborhood, and urban design guidelines to govern future development. The Austin Street lots were specifically identified as an opportunity for mixed income housing, publicly accessible open space, space for sports practice, artist support, and broader public realm improvements. The proposal is consistent with the use and dimensional regulations of the updated zoning, as it proposes to place taller building heights consisting of 150 feet towards the elevated I-93 viaduct, and will step down the building heights towards New Rutherford Avenue to meet the residential neighborhood edge. Additionally, the 4 proposed buildings within the master plan site are all mixed-use buildings with active ground floor uses and publicly accessible open space. These elements, alongside the planned streetscape improvements, will create a safer, more welcoming pedestrian and cycling experience around the master plan area. Thank you, and I will now turn over to the development team to present in more detail.
Good evening, Director Shen, Secretary Polimas, Chair Shepard, and members of the board. My name is Abby Goldenfarb, and I am with Trinity Financial. I am joined by my colleagues, Christoph Stump and Kendra Halliwell of Icon Architecture, Christoph Stump from Trinity, James Keefe from Trinity, and Jim Keefe, the founder of Trinity, is somewhere hiding in the back. I come here today also as a 17-year resident of the neighborhood of Charlestown, where my husband and I have raised our family. This project is of particular importance to me, as for almost 2 decades, I walked by these parking lots and imagined the possibilities of what they could be, how they could help contribute to the neighborhood. In 2023, the BPDA's RFP allowed us to talk to others and put some of their ideas down on paper so that we could envision this dream. So we thank you for issuing that RFP and having us here tonight. Next slide. Oh, this slide, actually. The Austin Street development, here highlighted in yellow, is at the gateway to Charlestown. The site is adjacent to Community College, which is under the word view on the top of the screen, and is about a half a mile from North Station. To the right of the page, you can see the Charlestown neighborhood on the upper right-hand side. To the bottom of the page, you can see the Paul Revere Park and North Point parks in the area closest to the Charles. At the center of the page, you can see a roundabout for I-93 where Boston Sand and Gravel holds its operations. And to the left of the page, you can see the residential buildings at Cambridge Crossing. Next slide, please. Here is a pedestrian look at the development site. 3 upper views are taken from New Rutherford Avenue, showing their current state as parking lots with I-93 in the background. The view of Middle Road shows its use by passenger cars accessing the parking lots today. The lower right view shows Service Road with a ready-mix truck from Boston Sand and Gravel. In the bottom left view, you will see the Gilmore Bridge in the background in relationship to the development site. Next slide. There are many edge locations around Charlestown that are industrial and have developed with larger mixed-use developments. These buildings are designed with architectural gestures in brick and metal panel that bridge the historic smaller-scale facade features found throughout Charlestown. Next slide. In putting together this proposal that we'll show you today, we engaged in significant outreach both prior to submitting our RFP response and over the past 2 years. We've met with neighbors, stakeholders, and community groups to envision a plan that would allow us to answer one of our own primary questions: what would draw people across Rutherford Avenue? Some of those meetings actually have informed future phases, such as our meetings with the YMCA, who is here today. As of August, we have signed a letter of intent with the YMCA to explore a future location on the site. Next slide. Trinity Financial brings 38 years of experience working in Boston. This experience has told us to be flexible and nimble and to navigate the ups and downs of the economy. It has also told us how to build a strong team. We have had design professionals on our team that have helped us create new communities of mixed-income housing across all housing types: high-rises, mid-rises, townhomes. Together, we have navigated the challenges with these design professionals of building on top of active MBTA tunnels and next to highways to mitigate vibration, noise, and manage air quality. But for this project in particular, we have brought on 2 unique members, Tech Environmental and Ascentech, who are here today, to help navigate this urban site and identify and mitigate any concerns with air quality and noise. I'm now going to turn it over to Christoph.
Thank you, Abby, and good evening, everyone. Let's look at the next slide, please. On this one, you're seeing the result of an almost 2-year-long site planning effort that went through many iterations and saw major changes, specifically as they regard with vehicle, pedestrian, and bicycle circulation, which was only conceptually envisioned in Planned Charlestown. This master plan proposes to build 705 apartments, 60% of which are going to be affordable, in 4 separate buildings with associated outdoor spaces. We call them here generically buildings A, B, C, and D. The development is bisected approximately in the center by a state-owned drive, which we call Middle Road. The building's uses and open spaces complement each other, and the non-residential spaces of buildings A and B to the left, they focus on art and culture. We have a approximately 2,000 square foot gallery space and live work spaces for artists. The 2 buildings surround an open lawn that is really meant for passive recreation, as well as a plaza which can be used for community events, for farmer stands, for food trucks. The parcel to the right with buildings C and D emphasizes play and sports. So on the left side in the building C, we have an early education childhood facility with approximately 14,000 square feet. And on the right side in building D, a 46,000 square foot community rec center that Abby already mentioned. The buildings surround a larger open field that is designed for flexible, active sports such as soccer or field hockey. Next slide, please. A major consideration effort revolved around providing a safe connection from the Millers River Littoral Way, it's to the right of the slide, to a future green loop that's envisioned in Plan Charlestown along Service Road, while at the same time also maintaining commercial track access to both the tracks of the Orange Line as well as to Boston Sand and Gravel's operation. The site plan resolves this challenge by extending Millers River Littoral Way along New Rutherford Avenue as a shared path, and then crossing Middle Road, you see it as a dashed orange line at the top, at an existing pedestrian crossing of Middle Road, and then continues along New Rutherford Avenue towards Bunker Hill Community College and Community College train station, as well as south to Service Road towards areas north for Green Loop that the Bunker Hill Community College will pick up at some point in the future. Carefully laid out walkways, you can see those in solid magenta, guide the public into the developments and access all the aspects of the development in an organic way. And all the parcels are really inward facing. Next slide, please. Vehicle circulation needed to take into account MBDA's truck access for the maintenance of the Orange Line tracks, as well as Boston Sand and Gravel's operation, which has a main access point between Millers River Littoral Way and the Orange Line end of the tunnel that's at the very bottom right of the slide. After many meetings with abutters, local transportation groups, stakeholders, the Boston Planning and Transportation Departments, and Mass DOT, this plan emerged as the most viable to achieve its goals and was carefully coordinated with BTD's efforts to redesign New Rutherford Avenue. This site plan took great pains to avoid any changes to the existing curb alignments in order to preserve truck maneuverability that's required for our abutters' needs, and to also minimize interaction between those industrial trucks and the proposed development traffic. The buildings themselves even form a protective gesture around the public-facing spaces by not only orienting all the public access points block inward, but also by providing a high building spine along I-93, which we'll get to in just about a minute. All passenger traffic will be directed into these drives, will enter the sites through new curb cuts on New Rutherford Avenue. That's the top diagram, so the red arrows. So they will access the sites from there to get to short-term public parking, as well as drop-offs and resident garages in Building A, C, and D. Only residents for Building A need to use a short portion of Service Road that is not being used by Boston Sand and Gravel. With this plan, only professional truck drivers, in our case, those are trash haulers and moving trucks, will even be using Middle Road and Service Road. And so there's no mixing of passenger cars and commercial drivers. This master plan allows both a mixed-use development and industrial uses, which are both really critical to the community to really thrive side by side. With this, I'm going to hand this over to Kendra Halliwell from Icon Architecture, who will show you a little more detail on Building B on the first phase.
Thanks, Christoph. Can everybody hear me? Great, thank you. My name's Kendra Halliwell. I'm an associate principal at Icon Architecture. I'm really excited to show you what these buildings look like. We've located the active spaces for this building along New Rutherford Avenue that's shown here in purple. This includes the lobby, the bike room,
and the main building entry is tucked inside the courtyard, essentially pulled away from the busy streets and into this quiet sort of oasis in the center of the site. This first phase includes 123 units of housing, family housing. It includes the lawn, the plaza area, and landscape improvements, as well as the public realm improvements around 3 sides of this parcel. A distinctive ribbon pathway that you see here, sort of in a peach color, will have special paving, and it's part of the first piece of this walkway ribbon that Christoph mentioned earlier, the zigzag shown in magenta. The driveway provides site access for specifically for the residents and the visitors. Next slide. Thanks. The design and engineering team has been studying the environmental factors here for noise, sound, and air quality, and we will continue to develop and refine details of the building as we continue through the design process. This building will be passive house designed and built with an airtight building envelope. We've included a central energy recovery ventilation system to bring fresh air to each bedroom and living room in every apartment. And in addition to that, we're providing fresh, ventilated, filtered air to all spaces in the building. This is a system that's typically used in hospitals. In addition, we're incorporating acoustic triple glazed windows on the building's exterior, as well as acoustic resilient clip system around the outside. Let's go to the next slide. Thank you. The proposed buildings range in scale from 6 stories up to 13, putting the greater height towards the highway and stepping down in height towards the Charlestown community. All building heights comply with Plan Charlestown. Next slide. We'll walk around the building quickly here. The first phase includes placemaking elements similar to those along Littoral Way to line and mark the edge along New Rutherford Avenue. You see here the 2 volumes of this building expressed in complementary masonry tones. Next slide. This is a view at Middle Road. The chamfered corners will improve visibility at the building's outside corners, increasing safety for vehicles turning and for the pedestrian crossings. Masonry detailing, metal panels, and warm accents create durability, lightness, and human scale. Next slide. The robust quality construction methods and materials are seen here as well as on other projects of this scale around the city. In addition to Passive House, the building will also meet LEED Gold and Enterprise Green Community standards. Let's go to the next slide. The building's going to be raised well above Boston's 2070 sea level rise base design elevation. And native plantings and on-site stormwater management systems will promote resilience and create places to sit and play. We'd like to see touch-a-truck, farmers markets, arts festivals with food trucks, making this a great place to live and to visit. Next slide. To wrap up, we are proposing over 700 units of housing, mostly affordable, many jobs to be created, significant community uses added to this neighborhood, and building for sustainability and for resiliency. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for the presentation. I would like to add, this is a public hearing. We are taking public comments. If you would like to testify in person, please step to the podium and announce your name, affiliation, and your position on the proposed project when you're called to speak. If you are on Zoom and you would like to testify, please raise your virtual hand.
We'll start with the folks in person, and then we'll take a little break and take some of the folks on Zoom. So go ahead, Minor.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. Chairman Shepherd, board members, Director Chen, Madam Secretary. My name is Mina Perez. I am the Executive Director for the Carpenters Labor Management. I am here representing thousands of union carpenters that live and work throughout the city of Boston, as well as dozens of general contractors and subcontractors that employ my brothers and sisters. It is with great pleasure we go in strong support of this project. First, like to thank the BPDA for hosting these meetings. This was a long and arduous process, and kudos to them. They did a great job. Finally, I want to thank Mayor Wu for allowing the community to be part of the process and we're in support of the project. Thank you.
Good evening. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you to the board. Director Chen, thank you as well. Thank you to the BPDA for holding this in-person meeting, hybrid style as well. Also, thank you to the development team. My name is Frank Murray. I'm an IAG on the project. We've gone back to, I believe, summer of '24, I believe, was when it was first brought out, and there was a great proposed development. Things went quiet for a few months, and then it got brought back to the table with this new proposal. Back in '24, there was 4 buildings. I want to make a point of information that to the people on Zoom and in here as well, that the 4 buildings of the master plan are not being permitted today. It's just the one building B, And at first, it was a 12-story building. I'm hearing there's issues of financing for the 7-story now. And just for points of information, that the master plan of 4 buildings, I really have to question if that is going to be able to be done if we're having a problem financing 7 stories. Also, it's to my understanding that the zoning can go up to 130 feet in a climate where there is such a need for housing, and we want it as much as possible, as fast as possible. I believe that the 12-story initial plan was a great plan. It was something that was going to be needed for the community. There was concerns, of course, from the community, but I would love to have seen the 12 stories be used. And to the rest of the IAG members that are probably on Zoom or in the crowd today, thank you guys for all we've done, and it's been a long run, and we're going to see it through. And to the board, thank you again. Thanks.
Thank you, Frank.
Good evening, folks. Mr. Chairman, Director Shen. I'm a resident of Charlestown. I'm a trade unionist. I live about 200 yards away. I worked in that area about 38 years ago, 37 years ago. Over the course of two years, I poured every speck of concrete down there, built the road. Remember going to the meetings on the Cana project. Perini did the tunnels, J.F. White did all the ramps. I know every inch of it. There are no immediate neighbors on that project. The project is permitted to build to 130 feet. You want housing in the city, you go higher. I'm a neighbor of Charlestown. I live there. It's within 200 yards of an Orange Line station, transit-oriented development. Financing is available in all sorts of areas. I just want to make it clear that this meeting is to approve one building. It's a classic 5/2. 5 stories of modular housing, wood, and I'll be nice. Over 2 stories of podium steel. It's a classic 5/2. It's all over the place. Below 70 feet, they do it because it's cheap. It's cheap labor. It's cheap building materials. The question that you should ask the board, any development comes in up here, is why ain't they doing it higher? Why aren't they building it higher? The mayor wants it. There's a great need to build more housing. Shrink the footprint, go higher. I'm in opposition to this project. Thank you.
Hi, my name's Ethan Ness, and I'm not going to thank everybody because it's already been done so many times. I have lived in Charlestown over 35 years now, and my wife and I have gotten very involved in the community. We started something called Charlestown Community Cares, and we provide goods to the community once a month, and we tutor, et cetera, et cetera. So only reason I'm saying that is that we're invested in this city, and especially in this neighborhood, and we really need housing. And we need affordable housing. And I think, if you go online and look at what Trinity's done in the past, which I've done before I came and said it's pretty good stuff. I mean, they do a good job. So I am very much in favor of this. And beyond that, I mean, don't we at a certain point have a moral obligation? I mean, I'm sitting in a community. We have this thing called the Charlestown Community Closet where people give us goods during the month, and then we clean them and put them out, and people once a month can come and get them for free. The amount of stuff that we get that still has tags on it, it's incredible. So you got a neighborhood that has evolved into tremendous affluence. We really need to support the people who aren't as fortunate. We really need to. It's just the right thing to do. So that's all I got. Thanks.
Thank you.
Hi, my name's Deidre Tao, and I'm representing the Artist Group of Charlestown. I serve as the elected president of the board of this group, and we're located in Charlestown on Medford Street, and we're a 501c3. We were first approached by Trinity Financial in 2023, and we gave a little tour of our studios and gallery space, and we've been in conversation with them for 2 years now, so that's been great. Since the year 2000, you may be aware that Boston has been losing hundreds of thousands of square feet worth of art studios and gallery spaces in our neighborhoods. The Boston Globe has reported about this fact extensively. So when Trinity came to us, we were excited to talk. So why should the city care about artist work and live space and galleries? Just like we need labs for science, we need studios for culture. If you live in a building that includes artists' live workspaces, you would get to meet artists. And if you lived in a building where the bottom floor was a gallery, you'd get to go to art shows all the time. This creates a sense of belonging and belonging to an actual neighborhood. It's not just retails and banks, it's an actual neighborhood this way. This is what we see that Trinity Financial is hoping to achieve. And so we would like to support this project. Their designs and ideas align with our mission, which is to showcase artists' works and to promote high-quality cultural programming for our community. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to take a break from the in-person testimony and take some folks online. So if folks could continue to line up behind the podium so that you're ready to go when we resume in-person testimony. Shaitan Green, you can unmute yourself.
Hello, good evening. My name is Shaitan Green. I'm a proud lifelong Boston resident. I'm also a representative of the Boston Building Trades Unions. We represent tens of thousands of residents, members, as well as their family who live and work right in the community. I want to thank the BPDA for this awesome process and the just ability for the public to weigh in. I also want to thank the mayor's office as well for their commitment to more housing, as well as more good jobs. I feel like families now more than ever need to feel secure, and I feel like that's done through more affordable housing and more good jobs with family wages and benefits. So I speak in support of this project. Thank you all. Have a great evening.
Thank you, Shaitan. Carla Wirt, you can unmute yourself.
Hello, everyone. My name is Carla Wirt. I wanted to thank you for the opportunity to speak. I'm a member of the IAG for this project. I have lived at the Bunker Hill Apartments for 20 plus years. I serve as the president of the Charlestown Resident Alliance, also known as the CRA. I'm here today because I want to speak in cautious support of the proposed development at Austin Street. The CRA is a democratically elected local tenant organization that represents residents of the Boston Housing Authority's Bunker Hill Public Housing Development. As the BPDA knows, Bunker Hill is is several years into its own major redevelopment project. All public housing units there are being demolished and then reconstructed. Over time, we will become a larger mixed income, mixed finance community. While most replacement units are being built on site at Bunker Hill, there was an agreement to rebuild 100 of the units off-site at another location in the same neighborhood. Our residents have been guaranteed the right to return after redevelopment, and Austin Street is being considered as a potential site for some of these permanent homes. The CRA understands that this project includes Building B, may include project-based voucher units which could accommodate the off-site Bunker Hill units. As representatives of the residents of Bunker Hill, the CRA has closely followed this proposed project. We urge the BPDA board to review the written comments we submitted in July. We think Austin Street is a great location where our residents can stay close to their home community. Relocation can be very disruptive. It's important for our residents to have continued access to the amenities and services they're used to having in their neighborhood. We also support the project's overall focus on, I'm sorry, am I out of time?
Yes, you are, sorry.
All right, well, thank you.
Thank you. Al Mitchell, you can unmute yourself.
Hi, my name is Al Mitchell. I am a building scientist and researcher at FIAS, formerly the Passive House Institute US, and I'm here to speak in support of the project. The proposed construction plan to follow passive building standards is critical for this neighborhood, especially with the project site being located between two major roadways. So having the airtight envelope and then the controlled ventilation through those central DOS type units, that's going to be all filtered at hospital grade filtration, will be able to provide a healthy indoor environmental quality for all of the occupants of the building. As well as with the major roadways, there's a concern about noise. The well-insulated walls of the passive building's construction, as well as the airtight envelope and the limitation of penetrations for ventilation, will all help reduce any of the noise, providing, again, a more comfortable interior environment for the occupants. Additionally, the quality of construction that we see in these types of projects have shown up successfully throughout the entire city of Boston, and have created long, healthy, durable spaces so that people are able to, again, live a healthy, happy life inside of their project at lower energy costs, which creates long-term affordability as utility rates may change in the future. Thank you.
Thank you. Phil Carr, you can unmute yourself.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Phil Carr, Charlestown resident. I like the original proposal, understand that it was delayed to address some concerns, which has now changed the market and with tariffs and financing and building materials, but Charlestown's real estate prices continue to drastically increase, making living in the neighborhood unattainable for those of modest and even those well-to-do means. So varying AMI, affordable and workforce housing is needed in Charlestown to try to remedy this ongoing issue. There are also many older residents who grew up in Charlestown and would like to come back, but say that they cannot afford to do so. Also, in the past year, I've read several Boston Globe articles where residents from various neighborhoods of Boston would like to see local residents be given first preference in new development. So for any government employee, elected official, or candidates who may be listening, this would be a welcome policy or law change across every neighborhood of Boston. And to circle back, I think this project site can help with all that I've mentioned. Thank you.
Thank you. We're going to move back to in-person testimony, and then we'll come back to the folks that are still on Zoom.
Hello, everybody, and thank you for having this. My name is Bill Jacobson. I'm a Charlestown resident. I live quite close to this site, just on the other side of Rutherford Ave. And I'm speaking here in support of the project. I've raised my family in the area. Since we moved in 13 years ago, we've seen plans and discussions around a redevelopment along Rutherford Avenue and just the many, many ways that that has come. And so it is really nice to see something come forward and go through all the different things that need to happen and the process that needs to happen to make it come together. This site, at least as a resident, seems like an ideal place for more residential that is drastically needed in the city. It's right next to the T. It's got all the things that it seems like it should be. So I'm highly supportive of this moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is David Reinfeld. I'm also a Charlestown resident of 20 years. I want to thank the BPDA for holding this this open forum, and the chair and director. I do want to say that I think that Abby and her team did a tremendous job laying out the opportunity and the vision for that parcel. Over the past 20 years, I probably passed that parcel 10 times a day, so in the hundreds, if not thousands. And it's a parking lot, and to be able to create something that is community-focused, that includes affordable housing and community space and green space in an area that right now is used as a parking lot. And there is touch truck and there are some other activities, but I think it's a tremendous opportunity for Charlestown and the community. My wife and I have raised 3 children. We live very close to that spot, so we'd love to see that be developed. I would question some of the people that are up here that are against the project only because of the financing or the shrinking of the space, but the increase in the height, because I think that the development company has put forward a plan that's financeable, and I mean, if there is questions on that, I'm sure that they would be able to answer. So I'm in strong support of it.
Hello, good afternoon. Amanda Reinfeld. I am a Charlestown resident of 20 years. I want to thank the board for having this open meeting. It's great to be in person and be able to express your feelings about the project. I also want to thank Trinity for proposing the project. I feel like they worked really well with the community. They've spent a lot of time over the last few years really talking to the various groups. As my husband said, we've raised 3 kids in Charlestown. They've been through all the sports. We've dealt with looking for sports fields, traffic concerns, re-beautification of and development of Rutherford Ave. And we've seen some of those come to fruition, but not others. And I feel like they really kind of dug into the different things that we need. All 3 of our kids went to the nursery school there. There's always been a big need for commercial space for these businesses to grow and to bring in others from different communities as well. And we haven't been able to do that without additional space that's affordable. And same thing, obviously, with the exercise and wellness. Wellness is a huge part of everyone's day-to-day and mental well-being. And to have a place where the YMCA could possibly move in is extremely important for all ages of our community. So I am standing here supporting the project, and I feel like, besides, obviously, the number one thing is affordable housing, but it does offer all these different things, and I think that Trinity's done a great job, and I support the project. Thank you.
Hi there, my name is Allie Johnson, and I'm just going to build upon what a few people behind me have said. Thank you for having us. I've lived in Charlestown for over 25 years. I've raised 2 children. I've probably been past those lots 10, 15 times a day going to work, and my children going to school. And I love our neighborhood. I feel so lucky that we've been able to have this experience. And I'm so in support of taking what is right now basically just dirty parking lots and turning them into something that can be good for our entire community and good for a lot of other people that don't have access to our community. So I also really appreciate the fact that the Trinity development team mostly live in Charlestown, and that means that they're going to have to suffer with the rest of us when building happens and all that kind of stuff that goes on. But I just want to say I'm really in support, and I appreciate the thought that they've put into it, and I appreciate having this conversation. Thank you.
I'm going to move right now to some more Zoom comments, then I'll come back to the in-person folks. Ashley Mislinski, you can unmute yourself.
Thank you. I am a Charlestown resident, and unfortunately, I'm in opposition of this project. I feel like the location is quite challenging already in terms of traffic each and every day going into Boston and Cambridge both, and putting 100 new units to start, likely with cars. I understand, of course, that there's train access. However, many people do not use the train. The Gilmore Bridge is bumper to bumper both ways every single day, morning and night. And I can't imagine how this development would really help the community get to and from the places that they need to be. I do love the cultural aspect. I appreciate very much the desire to add outdoor space and arts and culture in that area. But the residential aspect in this specific location is quite concerning to me. Thank you.
Thank you. Jennifer Haas, you can unmute yourself.
Hi, good evening. Thank you. As a longtime resident of Boston, I want to express my support for the proposed development in Charlestown. Our city, as many people have said, urgently needs attainable and thoughtful housing, and this project represents that. Equally important is the inclusion of the community service elements like the YMCA and the daycare centers. And so I also would like to acknowledge Trinity's. They have a reputation of building high quality, well thought out developments that lift communities. Their track record gives me confidence that this project will be executed with the care and will add lasting value to Charlestown. So I'm in full support, and I encourage the city to advance this project. Thank you.
Thank you. Tina Goodnow, you can unmute yourself.
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Hi, my name is Tina Goodnow, and I'm here today to express support for the proposed development at the Austin Street lot. I'm a member of the IEG for this project, longtime Charlestown resident and mother. After living in BHA for 18 years, I now live at the new building, the Stellata. All of us at CRA are genuinely excited about this opportunity. It will expand affordable housing and ensures these units can remain in Charlestown. As we move forward, we want to emphasize the importance of maintaining robust tenant protections. Public housing tenants at Bunk Hill are entitled to grievance rights, income-based rent, without additional occupancy costs and meaningful language, access for residents who speak language other than English. For the on-site units at Bunker Hill, the CRA has worked productively since 2015. We also want to make sure that all our residents have the same rights under their leases, regardless of whether they are relocated to Austin Street or stay on site at Bunker Hill. For example, never mind, I'm sorry, I messed up here, but I just want to, briefly just say, like, we are in support of this project. We are excited about it, and that we're just looking for the robust tenant protections because they're really important. We're glad that Trinity is on board with this approach. So thank you.
Thank you. Marlene Calixto, you can unmute yourself. Marlene?
Yes, hello, can you hear me?
Yep.
Yes, hello, good evening. My name is Marlene Calixto. I am currently employed in early childhood education at the Charlestown Nursery School. Before that, I was a nanny for many years and for many families in Charlestown. I am original from El Salvador and I came here in 1990. In 1996, I was able to become an American citizen. And my dream of having a home was my main thing, but that never happened. For many years, I lived in Everett, and I commuted to Charlestown on the MBTA subway and bus. Earlier this year, I needed to find a new place to live, and I searched for an affordable apartment that I could afford on my salary. The options were pretty bad. It was horrible. I was close to take a basement studio that didn't even have a proper kitchen and it was $1,700. With help from a friend, I was thankfully able to apply for an affordable apartment in the South End that was one of the BPDA's inclusionary development units. I can now afford a home with 2 bedrooms and 1 bathroom and especially a kitchen. And hello?
Yes, go ahead.
Yes. And now I can afford my apartment, and it's clean, it's high quality and safe. Now I live close to the Orange Line, so I don't need a parking space. I fully support the creation of the affordable housing on the Austin Street parking lot. There are many people with jobs like mine that work in education and would love to live in Charlestown. And I would like to thank the BPDA for the work that you are doing creating affordable housing in the city. I love where I live, I love where I work, and I strongly urge you to vote in favor of this project. Thank you.
Thank you. We're going to move back to in-person testimony, and we'll finish out the Zoom testifiers when we're completed with in-person.
Thank you. Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Director Shen. My name is John Scarin. I've lived in Charlestown for 20 years. I'm probably the closest thing to a direct abutter to this project, as my kitchen window looks out at the Austin Street lots. So I will be watching this be developed over the next 5-10 years, however long it takes. I was also a member of the IAG on this project. And as Sarah mentioned in her presentation earlier, there have been a lot of discussions, a lot of meetings on this project over the last several years. I think Trinity has done a great job of coming to the table with the residents. I know that there's been a lot of concerns expressed over a number of things. Obviously, nobody gets everything that they want, but I think they have made a real concerted effort to address the concerns of Charlestown with this project. I think Building B is a great first step in reimagining that area of Rutherford Ave, which desperately needs it. So I very much urge the board to support moving forward with the project. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening, BPDA board. My name is Tim McKenna. I'm a Charlestown resident and serve on the boards of the Charlestown Youth Soccer Association and the Charlestown Neighborhood Council. Through that involvement, I was invited to join this effort first as a member of the PRC and then on the IAG. My comments today in support of this project are my own. During Plan Charlestown process, I worked closely with the BPDA team to advocate for more open, active spaces to support our growing youth sports programs in town. That advocacy helped shape this RFP for the project, ensuring open space objectives were included. Since Trinity was awarded the project, I've engaged with their team throughout this process to this date as well. While we were initially hopeful that larger, open, active, structured gameplay fields could be incorporated, it became clear that there were some technical constraints that made it difficult to achieve that and still have the space feel integrated with the overall project. The community's need for active open space remains, but we recognize that this wasn't necessarily the right location for all ages or all types of programming. That being said, I believe design presented is stronger because of that collaboration. The open spaces are well suited for the residents and amenity partners. The natural grass and flexible lawn are ideal for early education programs, and we expect that we can leverage those spaces for some of the youngest athletes in similar age groups. And net new open space, as committed as part of Plan Charlestown, is always welcomed. I'm also encouraged by the partnership with the Boston YMCA. I'm confident they'll continue to be strong community partners for programs like Charlestown Youth Basketball. I look forward to see how this new facility creates even more opportunities for access and collaboration. So thank you to the Trinity team. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, BPDA board.
Good evening. My name is Scott Greglovich. I'm also a resident of Charlestown, over 10 years, and co-chair of the YMCA in Charlestown Advisory Board. I had written a few words to send in, but I'm thrilled to be able to deliver them in person. One thing that I've learned about Charlestown over the years that it's a proud and protective community that takes care of its own. And one of the standout results of Trinity's projects is the inclusion of facilities and spaces that will be taking care of its own, the residents of Charlestown. Let's face it, the word development is a trigger for almost anybody who lives in the city, especially a densely populated neighborhood like Charlestown. However, when done correctly with the community involved and at top of mind, as Trinity has done successfully many times around Greater Boston, it can be beneficial for those that have lived there for many years. The Austin Street project is poised to be one of these success stories, adding to Charlestown green space, artist, gallery space, childcare, sports field, and of course, my favorite part, a new YMCA. A new home for the Charlestown Y has been something that the Y has been in search for several years, but each conversation continues to feel like trying to fit a square peg into a round hole. Trinity has offered an amazing solution for the future of the YMCA in Charlestown. This reason alone, the community should be supportive of this project. A state-of-the-art health, wellness, and fitness facility for all ages in an accessible location included a much-needed city aquatic center, an urban oasis of green space, sports courts, and a pool. It sounds like a dream come true. For some of us, it actually is. For years, there have been many people diligently exploring options for the next iteration of Charlestown's YMCA, and an outcome like this does feel like a dream come true. Trinity once again shows their commitment to the community by listening to the needs of the residents, which has adjusted the designs and the plans to its betterment of this project and aligned itself with long-term solutions for Charlestown, including the YMCA. When I'm out and about in the city, I love when somebody asks me about this project because it's one more person I can get excited about it.
Thank you.
Good evening, members of the board. My name's Daniel Daly. I'm a lifelong Boston resident. I'm also a business representative for Local 103 with the electricians. The city needs housing, and we could really use good paying jobs for union workers in the city of Boston, so I rise in support of this project. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Lauren Reyes, and I'm the Chief Operating Officer with the YMCA of Greater Boston. So we are the parent group to the Charlestown YMCA. As has been stated by several people, we have been looking for a new home for the Charlestown Y. We're in the process of relocating, and we made a commitment to the community that we wanted to remain in Charlestown. Obviously, with some space constraints, it's been hard to figure out where that can be, and so we're really excited that we're able to partner with Trinity for this project to be able to offer a community space. The YMCA never turns anybody away for their inability to pay, and so bringing us into that space and having an opportunity to be here allows us to be able to serve the community in a way that benefits all. We say we serve people from birth until, because whatever age that is, we're able to serve at the Y. We also partner with the City of Boston to provide free swimming lessons for children, as well as free community health programs to seniors and to adults. So having a home for the Y in this development is going to be great, and definitely want to show the Y support for this project. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. I'm Kelly Pellegrini, 20-year resident of Charlestown. I'm also the founder and director at Charlestown Nursery School, so I represent the nursery school. I'm a resident, I'm a parent, I'm doing elder care, I'm a community member, and I just want to enthusiastically support this project. I think it's the best of what Boston can be. It is partnerships across the community. It represents the housing we need, it represents the wellness, it represents the education, the artists, and the work that is desperately needed for our union workers. So we are incredibly enthusiastic about what this project offers to the city, to Charlestown, and the partnership with the development and the vision that you set forward with incredible partners at Trinity. So we hope you break ground tomorrow. Let's get to work. Boston better, and a vision for what will allow my children to stay here, what will allow the young children that we educate to stay here, and will keep us well and housed and educated and growing and working, and we look forward to all that's ahead. So let's get to work. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to continue with the Zoom testifiers. If there's anybody left in the room who would like to testify, please line up behind the podium and we'll get you at the end. Nancy Johnson, you may unmute yourself.
Hello, my name is Nancy Johnson. I am a lifelong Boston resident and a 20-year Charlestown resident. I was a member of the IAG board for this project. And I'm also a member of the CNC. My comments are my own here today. I have fully supported the mayor's vision to use city land for affordable housing, and I was very excited when she announced that Austin Street lots would be a place that would be developed from a parking lot into a viable part of the community. I have thought the overall design is robust and community focused, and the drive to create more affordable housing immediately, however, has resulted in a diminished Building B. And so while I'm supporting the overall development, I think Building B needs to be revisited. It's going to have 75 deeply affordable units that are relocated from the Bunker Hill housing development, and the balance of the 125 will be workforce housing. In the process of sort of, it's been sort of value engineered down from 12 stories to 7, from 218 units to 125. The commercial space has been removed from the building. There is no parking plan for any residents of Building B, which I feel makes those residents who will be my community members and neighbors sort of less than the others who will be living there. It's a 50-year, primarily wood constructed building. And I just think that while it's understandable there are financing issues, this is city-owned land. It's a city-hired developer, and the city needs to maximize what they're putting in that space. This is not something that can be replaced, and it's creating a smaller building on a site where every building was supposed to have something that drew other residents in. This building will be much smaller, and I don't want my future neighbors feeling like they're guests in their own development over there. I really think that while the overall project has a good vibe and they've done a lot of work with the community, the value engineering of Building B, the city can do much better. And that I feel that the people who live there, who will be my neighbors, should feel that they have the same amenities and the same access, and have a building that is as much a part of the community over there as any other building. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Helen Chin-Schlichte, you can unmute yourself.
Good afternoon, members of the board and Director Shen. My name is Helen Chin-Schlichte. I live at 50 Main Street in Charlestown. In 1917, my grandfather opened a laundry at 34 Main Street. My parents continued its operation, and my 8 siblings and I are proud townies. We are very happy that Trinity Financial is providing some much-needed housing to the community in the Austin Street block. A branch of the Y at the site is a real major plus. Trinity has been wonderful in meeting numerous times with community folks and have made satisfactory alterations to their plans. For nearly 40 years, I have worked with Trinity Financial on affordable housing projects across the city. They are excellent to work with, well experienced, and full of integrity. I urge Boston Planning and Development to vote to approve the first phase of development. Thank you.
Thank you. Raul Escobar, you can unmute yourself.
Hi, my name is Raul Escobar, a resident of Charleston for the past 24 years, where my wife and I have raised our 2 kids. I'm here to support this project not only as a longtime Charleston resident, but also as a business owner in the greater Boston area, where I have seen firsthand the need of affordable housing, as every year many of my employees leave the city of Boston and move away because of affordability issues. I'm excited about this project, not only because of the affordable housing, but also because of the community and indoor and outdoor spaces. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else online who would like to testify? Please raise your virtual hand. Vice Chair, this concludes the public hearing portion of this item.
Thank you very much. Do any of the board members have any questions or comments?
Yes, I think it's a great project, and clearly there's been some wonderful outreach and communication with the community, the fact that so many folks showed up tonight, and I think that's a record as long as I've been here for Zoom participants. So looks great. I want to drill down on some of the sustainability. You've got some height. Is there any plans for PV? Can you talk a little bit about that at the microphone?
We are planning to include PV on the roof.
Well, how much?
So currently we're modeled at 144 kilowatts.
Okay, I think that's a terrific start. And again, just the green space, so much, all electric, passive house construction. I mean, this again, I am proud to sound like a broken record at this board, but I appreciate projects that don't make it in either or. You can either have some deeply affordable units or the fully sustainable. We can and we should be striving for both. So I appreciate your efforts here. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
First of all, I just want to thank everybody that came to testify tonight. As Matt said, this is, it's been a great turnout, and we definitely appreciate hearing from the community. Kudos to Trinity and Icon, I mean, on all of the compliments that you received throughout the process. It's also not something we always hear about a development project, so we really appreciate that. And then lastly, the degree of affordability is just phenomenal, and just really, really appreciate that program. Thank you.
I'll second that, and I'm curious as to why the development has been scaled down from a taller building with more units.
Thank you. When we originally set out on this, the master plan proposed, I believe it was 698 homes across the development. We're now at 703, so in general, the project has not been scaled down. The first phase was scaled down. Given rising construction costs and interest rate unpredictability, we realized that, and given the availability of subsidies, we had to scale the project down in order to fit within the constraints that the city and state have for subsidies. We obviously want to build as much housing as possible, but in this time period, we couldn't double the number of units.
So if there were economic shifts, there could be a scaling up in the next phase?
We have committed to 60% of the site being affordable. That was what was initially desired in the city's RFP. Our goal is to intermix market rate housing into the next phase or future phases. So if conditions improve, I mean, our plan is to go higher, to build bigger buildings on Building A. Building B is kind of similar size, and we will be flexible and nimble with the market just to figure out what will work. But we've made a commitment to 60% affordable when the full site is built out, and that's what we feel like is feasible.
Thank you.
And I would like to ask if the proponents would like to answer any questions or comments from the public. If anything stuck out to you that you would like to address, please do so.
Thank you for your support. I'm not sure we heard anything we felt like we needed to address. I think we've been at it a while, so
So I
we
just
appreciate.
figure I make sure I give you the
Yeah.
opportunity.
No, we're good.
All right, thank you. And with that, our motion is in order.
Enthusiastically moved.
Second?
So we're doing a little different than before. So all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, You know what? I'm going to tell my sister. She might be looking.
Hey, Abby, congratulations.
Congratulations.
Great football.
Everybody, we need,
Thank you, everyone. We have to proceed with the agenda.
Oh, great. Nice to meet you. Awesome. I've heard great things about you. Thank you for introducing yourself. Take care.
That was.
Yeah. Huh? I know.
Wow. Yeah.
Okay, we will return back to our item numbers. Item number 23, request authorization to waive further review of the Emerson College Institutional Master Plan Notification Form for the renewal and extension of their institutional master plan dated September 11th, 2025, and approve the renewal of the Emerson College Institutional Master Plan pursuant to Section 80D-5.2E, Section 80D-6, Section 80D-8 of the Boston Zoning Code.
Thank you and good evening, Chair Shepherd, members of the board, Director Shen, and Secretary Polimas. My name is Jason Farrell, and I'm a project assistant in the Development Review Division. I'm here before you today to discuss the proposed renewal and 5-year extension with no changes to the institutional master plan for Emerson College. This extension will help provide Emerson flexibility as they embark on their new strategic plan and navigate challenges faced by the higher education sector today. Upon expiration of this proposed extension, Emerson plans to pursue a full 10-year institutional master plan. On September 11th, 2025, the proponent filed an institutional master plan project notification form for the proposed renewal and 5-year extension pursuant to Article 80D of the Code. Since this is an extension with no changes, a public meeting was available upon request, although none was requested. The public comment period ended on October 13th, 2025. That concludes the presentation for this item, but the Emerson team is available to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Jason. Are there any questions or comments from the board? Seeing and hearing none, a motion is in order.
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Thank you again. Item number 25, contractual payments. I need a motion to pay our bills.
I move that we pay our bills.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Thank you. Item number 26, I will be turning it over to Dr. Shen for his remarks.
Good evening, members of the board. Thank you again for your diligent service again today. I want to start my report by a description of the citywide needs assessment that you approved today. This needs assessment was reissued with a refreshed scope, and it will help lay the foundation for exactly the type of planning that we want to do at the City Planning Department. Focus on identifying and delivering on the needs of our residents, our communities, and our city as a whole. The needs assessment will focus on understanding the planning criteria and infrastructure needed to grow the city's population, including adding more families, increasing housing affordability, increasing access to city services and open space, creating economic opportunities and growth, and preparing for climate change and improving mobility citywide. One of the things that this needs assessment will do will actually be the foundation for creating a kind of criteria, planning criteria for what we think of as the 15-minute and 880 sustainable communities within our city. The mayor is very interested in understanding how we can actually adapt these kinds of planning standards for the different parts of the city, each quite unique from its own, so that we can make sure that we can understand how these planning criteria can be adapted to each of our neighborhoods. Now, this assessment will also serve as the foundation for us to do the short and long-term planning that will support Boston being a home for everyone and being a family-oriented city that meets the needs of its residents. And I emphasize the 880 part, which is for the 8-year-old all the way to 80-year-old. Although today we heard that the YMCA starts from very young, but the upper limit is undefined. The second point I want to make is about the Article 80 improvements that you heard today. I want to acknowledge that these improvements to Article 80 that the staff have shared with you today, both the direct displacement disclosure, which was identified as part of the city's, Boston's anti-displacement action plan, and the new community engagement tools that we're making available to developers. Now, the disclosure and the engagement actually promotes and support best practices. We will begin to pilot these as part of the modernization of Article 80 that's been underway. And we hope that these best practices will be adopted by the developers and to help them actually work with community members to continue to improve the Article 80 process so that we can advance growth in our city. The public hearing tonight on Austin Street lots actually represent a major milestone for this project. As many of you know, the site was identified for redevelopment in the citywide land audit and in Plan Charlestown. The PDA master plan that was approved earlier envisions 705 units of housing on these public parcels, currently hosting underutilized parking lots adjacent to the Orange Line. This first phase that was approved, the Building B tonight, will deliver 123 units of income-restricted housing. I know you heard that there's some disappointment as to the sort of value engineering and the reduction of size, but I think at this particular economic moment, it's critical that we continue to make sure that projects that are feasible can move forward, because it's so important that we continue to provide construction jobs for the trades and actually still continue to make changes in our city. This project, I think in the end, is a great example of using, obviously, public land for public good. We look forward to reviewing the rest of the project, the 3 remaining buildings on the site, and hopefully the economic conditions at that time will be better and that we will be able to redistribute more density on the overall project site. Development project summary. I want to highlight and summarize the development projects that was approved tonight. There were 2 new development projects delivering 159 total new residential units, of which the great majority, 129 of them, will be income-restricted units. The total development costs and budget will be around $118 million. They will represent or deliver 166,000 square feet. And when construction during the construction, it will actually deliver 157 trade jobs and lead to 78 indirect jobs. I want to end the report tonight by highlighting 2 certificate of completions that was approved tonight that are delivering real tangible benefits to the community. The first project at 55 Summer Street in downtown will contribute $25,000 to St. Anthony's Shrine. There is a significant linkage payment, $51,000 to fund affordable housing, and then $9,000 towards job training. There's also a separate contribution of $75,000 to the Boston Transportation Department in support of the bike share system, which has been growing in our city. And of course, all around the project, public realm improvements around the site. The second project is the completion of Roxbury Preparatory Charter School. The project reconstructed public sidewalks in the vicinity of the school, delivering accessible pedestrian ramps, a crosswalk, curb cuts, and new street trees. And of course, the building will provide new educational opportunities for the students in this neighborhood. So with that, I want to thank you again for your service, and we see you again in November. Thank you.
Thank you. And for my last, I would need a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it. Thank you all for attending.
Nice job.
Thank you.
Nice job.
Thank you all.